Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod's Turnbuckle Time Machine. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mother's favorite podcast host, Salt of the Earth, Dave Olinovich.
That's the best one so far.
I think that's the one I'm going to go with going forward on this.
Heart literally smile.
Turnbuckle Time Machine episodes at the very least.
All right.
So today on the Time Machine, we're going to be talking about WCW Fall Brawl 96. And it is 96. I wrote it out in 1996, but the actual appropriate title is 96 because we loved putting those like apostrophe shortened numbers on pay-per-views in the 90s. And it is a War Games, by the way. Took place originally on September 15th of 1996 at the Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's Flair country, baby.
Woo.
11,300 in attendance. 230,000 pay-per-view buys. So 8,000 fewer pay-per-view buys for this show than for the thing that we watched last week.
Well, this wasn't as good. It didn't. it wasn't as good at all.
So okay. So what are your general thoughts on Fall Brawl 96?
I had to put myself into 1996 first off,
For sure.
because I'm watching a bunch of this stuff. I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I remember this now. Like this is the first time I saw this pay-per-view ever. Because I was still,
me too.
I was still hardline WWF at
Absolutely.
this time.
I didn't even know WCW was in existence in 1996.
No, 96. That's when in a couple months, Bret Hart and Steve Austin were at Survivor Series.
Yes.
We were there was some
Exactly.
good shit going on. There was no need to watch this. And also, like you just said, coming off of the last pay-per-view, there was no need to watch this, right? So I just didn't know.
I thought there was no need to watch.
Yes. But at the time, young 13-year-old me is like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't age well. Some of the stuff didn't age well, but at the time, holy shit! There was nothing like this on TV, or if there was very little of stuff like this.
So I did similar thing. I took it with all these stuff, especially these things, especially with shows that have several luchadors or this has got Benoit and Jericho. So more modern work rate type of guys.
Yeah.
I always feel like, okay, I have to look at this through the 1996 mindset. Because otherwise I'm going to be like, well, how come nobody's doing an Avalanche Poison Rana or whatever?
Yeah.
But this show, even without those lenses, there were some parts that I was absolutely blown away. And with that lens, the 1996 lens on, I think this might be one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was weird. We'll get to the minutia of it, but I thought the crowd was fucking ass backwards.
The crowd was ridiculous.
Just upside down for what they were cheering.
I'm thinking you're probably going to mention exactly the same thing. And I'm like, the crowd had a negative response to something. And I was like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. And the crowd doesn't care at all.
Not at all.
But they were super hot for the main events.
Oh, boy. They were super hot for the weirdest shit. Who thought the Nasty Boys were going to get one of the biggest face pops?
Absolutely.
That's where it really, I noticed, and I had to rewind and be like, did anyone else get, did fucking Rey Mysterio get?
No.
The Nasty Boys were one of the best things on the show, according to North Carolina faithful.
Honestly, after the match, I was like, Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
I always thought of them as a total trash tag team. I was like, they're Hogan guys. Yeah. They can't do shit. And then we'll talk about it in the heart of the match.
We'll get to it. One of the things about the presentation is a lot of times they went outside the ring. The cameramen did not have any personal space with a lot. Missed a lot of shit outside because the cameramen were just as close as I am to my microphone, which is a fist away. It was really noticeable when Chavo Guerrero that's the first match, so I'm not giving anything away too early here, but he just materializes a belt.
Yeah.
It just comes out of nowhere, and I don't know where the fuck
it happened several times.
But that was the first time.
Chavo been on every show that we've done? I feel like Chavo is Bobby Heenan and Chavo Guerrero is the through thread.
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It's different eras of Chavo. He's the most consistent dude. Yeah. Well, speaking of Heenan, by the way, to all you listeners at home, I think Dave and I discussed it, and I think we're going to do going forward with these Turnbuckle Time Machines, at least for the next probably would it be 20 something shows. because it would give us a nice variety of different shows from different eras, but also we will be able to enjoy the shows specifically because of this reason. We're going to do Bobby Heenan's entire commentary catalog.
Yeah.
He had about 15 and 15 WWF and then WCW pay-per-views, and he's just wonderful. And then those pay-per-views range from absolutely incredible to total trash too. So like we'll be able to, alternate and give you guys a lot of variety while also being able to enjoy the genius of Bobby Heenan going forward.
Yes, sir.
This show was no different. That dude dove in head first to his belief. He was playing a character completely. I love how much he throughout his career, he stuck to, I love Ric Flair, I hate Hulk Hogan. And I believed it the entire show.
Yes.
He was intentionally tripping over his words towards the end when he was trying to will his guys on to victory. I've never heard an announcer sound as invested like a fan in what's going on screen, the kayfabe, the story.
Right.
He sounded like he was going to lose a loved one or something. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. And it really sold the whole arc of, this is our company, we need to protect it. So when it gets to the end, the big theme throughout this is like the genesis of the NWO was not too long prior before this. Was that a sentence? And there's real concern now that they're acquiring members, and the NWO is gonna take over the WCW, which is unheralded till this point.
I mean, they do, and because they have Bischoff in their pockets, so was he
not yet? No, because he got powerbombed
right before that, right?
Yeah. So they'll go acquiring, DiBiase just got on board, and we find out that Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, I saw him coming out. I'm like, hey,
the financial, and he's the $1 million man. This is something I never thought about. Did he have multiple millions of dollars, or was he literally the $1 million?
Well, for most of his career, it was 1987. So $1 million is $2 billion in today's money, I think.
In this, when he was the main financial backer, was $1 million enough to take care of this?
I just realized it was his belt that cost $1 billion. His entire fortune, was sunk into that belt,
and then he lost it.
And then he lost
Virgil.
it. I wanted that belt so bad.
Well, we all did.
It was great.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But that part kind of tripped me up a little bit. But the overall. So you have these invaders coming in, and at the time we all thought they were WWE guys or WWF guys at the time. And
because it started with the Outsiders.
Yeah, and we're like, holy shit! And to the point where Vince McMahon put a cease and desist on Scott Hall using the mannerisms of Razor Ramon and talking like he's from Scarface, right? That was not at all.
Kinda kept doing it.
Also
he didn't stop. Hey yo, I'm the bad guy.
No, not at all.
Just didn't do it with a Cubano accent.
Yeah,
probably a good move.
And Heenan was selling this entire storyline oh shit, we're in trouble. Yeah, and it really hammered home that all the way to the commentators. Yeah, and it was a through thread.
Heenan specifically, but they were all on board. They were all cheering for the same.
Every fucking match, they were "What the fuck?"
By the way, I don't think I mentioned it's so that our commentators for the entirety of the evening, Bobby Heenan, Dusty Rhodes, Tony Schiavone, and then for I think maybe the more technical matches is why they brought the professor out with Mike Tenay.
I did not know this until I was researching a little bit. Mike Tenay is almost exclusively responsible for the entire luchador division.
I didn't know that at all. I'm not surprised because he is watching now. I always thought of him as he's the low rent guy on the low rent show because I was stupid. He was way ahead of his time as far as knowing movesets. I think that's why they they called him Professor and brought him in to call those matches too.
Yeah, they gave him another dumb name on this show. But you're nailing it 100%. Yeah. He spoke and that's why they had him on those matches specifically. Yeah. He's the only one that can talk about it. Yes. Otherwise, they'd be like, "What's that move called, baby? Yeah. Upside down back breaker, back elbow."
Dusty was able to. He had Dusty with he's got him in a cross arm breaker. It was the only move he called in the entire match.
What's that? That's a hurricane runner. I don't know, baby.
I don't know about that, daddy. Although no hurricane runners on this show, did you notice? All Frankensteiners. All called as Frankenstein. Even Rey Mysterio's was called as a Frankensteiner.
Because we did not get indoctrinated. It's
and they were technically what I would consider Frankensteiners too, because they were the straight back ones. Yeah, they weren't the Will Ospreay kind
Where
of
you
off
kinda
to the
twist
side.
to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Kind of
I'm
how
more
Lita used to
accustomed
do.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, production-wise, besides the camera work, I noticed there were 2 rings because it's War Games. Giant gap between both rings.
Yeah.
Grateful nobody broke their leg.
Yeah, it looked very dangerous.
It's like,
the cage looked more dangerous too than like
the
War
cage
Games. All of
looked
it
like they
nice.
got it from a guy down the street
Yeah.
who makes cages.
Yes.
they look like a professional made this
And
cage.
by
at all.
makes cages, I mean like takes discarded barbed wire, chain link fence, and uses zip ties to like tie it together.
It was very Mad Max, which ironically enough is why this thing happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Because Dusty Rhodes saw Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome,
Beyond Thunderdome, Daddy.
and he made the cage idea.
It's one of Dusty's greatest booking decisions because
Yeah.
War Games rules.
Yeah, he did good.
Show opens. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got.
I was going to make a passing joke. His second best booking decision was procreating to make Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and third Goldust, I think.
Yeah.
Too. Like, I really hope they let him. I would love to loan out Goldust and MJF
Yeah.
just for a night, even if Max. I think Maxwell's, as I said, I will cut off and eat my own dick.
Yeah.
I'm 99.9% sure he's under like a 5-year extension for probably $10 million a year or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt anybody to
No.
let him go like help out his mentor.
No.
Especially with Cody like mentioning AEW stuff on the air. AEW, that's nothing but a benefit for them to get exposure on a show
Right.
that's, like, I don't know how many buys it's going to get, but a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think MJF can really be a full-time roster guy in WWE just because, like he said in the Players Tribune thing, he's like, I say 5'9", guys, I'm closer to 5'7", probably, which is the truth. And it works if you're in a company full of normal-sized people.
Right.
But, like, Pretty Deadly's like 6'5" each.
Yeah.
And they're like the wussies, like
As much as I'd like to talk about this for 20 straight minutes,
I'm sorry.
It is 1996.
Keep it going.
It is 1990. The show opens with they kind of recap what's happened with the NWO so
It
far.
caught me up on what's happening with the NWO,
which was good, and that was one of my main gripes with. And I kind of like had a internal crisis moment because I'm really big on continuity and storytelling. And I watched the last Turnbuckle Time Machine we did, and I'm like, is it really important? Because if these shows live in a vacuum and I don't know what's going on, how important really is the storytelling?
It's important.
It's very important, and I noticed that they got really good at it really fast because this show built up everything, and I didn't really have to do much like reverse
Nothing.
research.
Usually I have Wikipedia and Cage Match like open next to the tab, my Peacock tab.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, they're letting me know everything that's going on, like reasons for all this stuff.
It was right there. Like the matches that had stories, like not every match had a story, but like all this NWO shit, they made it feel really important as a through thread the entire show.
I don't know what happened between 1996 and then like 98, 99.
Yeah.
Because this show, like when rules were set in place for a match, they stuck to them steadfastly. Like I love, like I get all pedantic and bitchy when like there's a schmaz finish that does not like adhere to the rules that they set forth.
Right.
They like absolutely did that. They also very clearly explained everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And then by like late 98, you put on Nitro and it was like a 5-year-old finger painted the booking sheet.
That's when they had. I mean, that's when they had the most. Scott Norton was in the NWO. You know, like they had everybody. It was so bloated. They ran out of shit to do. The equivalent of that today would be if they just keep adding members to the bloodline, and eventually, like Grayson Waller's in the bloodline. Like they're just like, is everybody in the fucking bloodline? Like, and then
I like that actually that idea. Like disband the blood, like end it at WrestleMania, and then have Grayson Waller and his other stooge like start a faction and just call it the Bloodline and start doing the fingers up and stuff. Try to sneak it in there.
The Bloodline, like the Aussie edition or something like that. And then the Bloodlines feud.
Bloodline.
And then they take Rey Mysterio's mask off again for some reason.
I did think the video package was like well put together too, which they also stopped doing. To the one to open the show. At Fall Brawl.
Yeah.
Why would anybody not trust Sting? Like I agreed with what he did on this show because he's like, I'm Sting, goddammit.
Dude, it
like,
looked just like him though. And like we know now, again, we have the benefit of hindsight, but like 96, it looked just like him.
Yeah, they found somebody.
Do you know who played him?
I started to look it up, but then I thought, you know what? Dave's probably going to have this and it's going to be amusing. So
do you know?
No.
Jeff Farmer. No. Not
okay.
not jumping Jeff Farmer.
Okay.
Turns out there are two guys who have made an impact in the world of pro wrestling named Jeff Farmer. Jumping Jeff Farmer, who I would love to go over that promo in detail one day.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest, worst promos ever.
Maybe we could do like a short episode about individual things.
We could stage read it. Like we can yeah.
Well, we do like a back-to-back. We'll do the Hawk threatening to rape Ric Flair and then the jumping Jeff Farmer. I'm sorry, continue.
No.
Who's the other Jeff Farmer? Just that? It's
fake,
just a guy, Jeff Farmer?
Fake Sting.
Right.
Like that, and like to the point where they paid such close attention that I don't know if it was the back of Fall Brawl or some other VHS tape that Sting was on, but it is fake Sting on the back, and it was like supposed to be just like Sting.
Especially when he had
that's
like
why
the
he looked just
darker paint.
Yeah.
It's impossible to tell the difference.
He looked just like him.
In the ring, his work punch is not nearly as good as Sting's.
No.
But like
body-wise?
right up until then, it's
Yeah.
like I can't tell. When they did the promo where they didn't show his face at all, that was Sting, because it's like I know Sting's voice.
Yeah.
I've been watching him in AEW for 3 years, I'm very familiar with his voice, and I doubt Jeff Farmer's is that good at doing impersonations. But
no, but the opening promo was great. It starts all the way up. You want a war?
Yeah.
You're going to get one. All the way from Scott Hall to the NWO forming, Hogan turning at Bash at the Beach, beating the Giant, spray painting the title, Ted DiBiase.
Giant joining up.
The Giant, but he left the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah. I know.
Poor Kevin Sullivan. And poor Sullivan.
Did you Sullivan?
I was doing that while driving the other day, looking like a lunatic. Just like, Sullivan.
It's so great.
My wheels.
So
It's fun.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Did you see the bit? I don't know if they flash back on this show specifically, or if it's something I watched, research wise. But when the Giant initially joined, he was cutting a promo like at the desk that Bischoff used to
Like the commentator desk?
used to sit at all the time when he was doing his NWO stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Hogan came up and the Outsiders, and then they were like, yeah, Giant's one of us now. And they flipped the table over, and the headset comes off, and they're just doing their like, okay, this is supposed to end the segment, and the Giant doesn't realize it because he's like 20 years old. So like without the table, just standing there kind of nakedly, he like picks the headset back up and puts it back on his head, and he starts like telling the story he was telling again.
Oh, he resumes
and then
it?
Hogan looks at him like, what are you doing, you asshole? Like
That's pretty funny.
It was very good.
That's pretty good. He was green, man.
Yeah. Huge pyro as we're being welcomed in. Like very, I mean, I'm really seeing like, okay, this is Tony Khan's. This is where he gets most of this stuff from.
Oh,
like
it sounds the same.
Mid 90s.
100%.
Like good WCW, basically, is what he's going for.
Right.
And he's doing it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean the dual fucking entrance ramps.
Yeah.
Like that's
like
WCW
a million
Saturday
different things
night.
where I'm like, I feel like I'm watching some kind of a special Dynamite or something.
Yeah, he clearly had a hard on for like this era of wrestling. Really quickly in the opening too, you were talking about the Luger Sting thing. Luger runs to the parking lot. Sting gets out of the limo, starts attacking Luger, and then the NWO starts destroying Luger's car. So going into War Games, they're trying to get people on the same side. So the Horsemen, Sting, and Luger are traditionally enemies, and they're like, "Hey, we got to fucking buddy up here, go against the NWO." And then they see Sting attack, so they're like, well, what the fuck are we going to do now? Sting's our boy.
Yeah.
He's one of our boys. So, what the fuck? And that's like the big cliffhanger going into the show.
How did Lex Luger keep getting him, like, weaseling his way into these situations with all these incredible wrestlers?
This is when, well, who else was at the top? Because like when they were trying to pick who was like going to be in War Games, they showed the previous
What was
Nitro.
Barry Windham up to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the ring, besides the four guys, who was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Sting, and Lex Luger, was Chris Benoit and Steve Mongo McMichael.
Chris Benoit, who they like refer to as a horseman, but
Yeah.
then they're like, well, he can't help us in this thing. It was a little strange.
He was busy with the
Now that
debuting Chris Jericho.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I'm like, they called him a horseman several times. Heenan kept saying, you got to be like that to be a horseman, like Benoit is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they probably could have used him in that War Games match.
Given that, it was like a handicap match.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get to that one right away, but we have a whole show to do first.
Dufty wearing actually like fancy dress for a change. Usually he's got like a Canadian tuxedo and a bunch of chains
a lot of
and like
denim.
like a hat he got free from a gas station by his house for doing an ad for them on local TV or something. He looks extra wide in the. You don't realize how like giant Dusty Rhodes actually is until you see him in normal people clothes and like in like the suit. I'm like, Jesus, he's like twice as wide as like Shawnee is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess was a pro wrestler for a long time.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really hammer home a couple things. Like Heenan reminds us, War Games was invented as kind of a to like deter the Horsemen, right? So that was like a way to get rid of the
cage
Horsemen.
matches historically, before Vince ruined them, were always supposed to be just like the only way we can keep this fair and keep everybody out is to put these two bastards in a
And
cage.
then they put a top on the cage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then Vince is like, you have to escape the cage.
Let's make it blue and stupid and childlike, and you got to get away from your opponent because that's heroic.
Yeah.
I hate Vince McMahon so much.
Yeah, there's not a lot. He's and this week especially.
Yeah.
He just keeps getting better and better.
I mean, I've hated him for like 25 years.
Yeah.
I like Attitude Era, whatever. I was young and stupid, but like that dude spent almost 30 years telling me that I should be embarrassed that I'm a wrestling fan and wrestling's not good enough, and needs to be other stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was embarrassed about what he did.
He changed the name of the entire company to get rid of the word
Wrestling.
Yeah, like it's.
I love that under Triple H they're saying pro wrestling again.
Yeah.
Like tear to my eye.
Yeah. Shivani says they do not know who the fourth man is for either WCW or NWO, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, and this is also one of those things that, like, had it happened in '99 or whatever, or on most wrestling shows throughout history, like it would be kind of convoluted and hard to understand. They explained it so perfectly clearly that I was like, oh, I absolutely understand exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, and it was rooted around Sting. Like, is it going to be?
Yeah,
they're like NWO could be Sting. Could it be the Giant? They just got the Giant. The Giant has a match, but like he could still do this. And then WCW only had the three guys, so they were really wishy-washy with.
Do you ever see when Sting and Luger tag teamed for a while, and Luger was about to turn heel and like steal Elizabeth and stuff? It was one of my favorite things Lex Luger ever did, which, you know, it's not a big list of those things, but he had a little gimmick thing going where Sting and Luger had come down for their tag matches, and Sting is slapping fives and stuff. And while Sting is facing Luger, Luger's slapping fives and stuff too.
Yeah.
As soon as Sting turns around, Luger like pulls his hand back and, I hate you, stupid fans. And like it was every time Sting looked at him, he's like, oh yeah, all right. Like he's hiding his heeldom from Sting. Poor Sting got turned on by everybody.
Yeah. Well, at what point do you, as Sting, go, all right, if everybody's turning on me, this is a Sting problem?
Yeah.
And
Well,
like,
I mean, I think
Sting
the end
needs
of
to
this,
do some internal work.
there was a little bit of that here
Yeah.
with him. And then like what he did after too, because this was like I'm going to come down, show you people like what I am, but
then
go fuck yourself.
For a year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But like did his thing and then like, all right, I'm out of here now because you pricks won't trust me.
Yeah.
I'm the only guy that has ever in pro wrestling like stuck to his guns,
Can you
his
imagine
moral guns, and you didn't trust me.
Yeah.
Like
Can you imagine if Jordan did that, like during like the '96 playoffs? He was
just scored his 50 in the first half and then
like
left.
he didn't show
Just
up
quit.
for like the first 3 games, and then he just dropped 50.
I mean, he kind of like didn't show up for a couple of years and then came back and won 3 more titles. Like
I guess that analogy tracks.
that
right?
was also, I wouldn't trust Michael Jordan for any reason. I love him. My favorite basketball player of all time.
Well, granted, yeah.
Monstrous man.
Yeah.
Like
His-
total sociopath.
I read his unauthorized biography.
Oh yeah.
Wowza.
Yeah. The recommendation, the Bo Jackson one. Bo growing up in Alabama as like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like reading Lord of the Flies or something. It's
No
the craziest shit. You know why he's Bo?
No.
Because when he was 9 years old, he beat a bunch of wild pigs to death with a stick.
Yeah.
So everybody called him Bo Hog, like boar hog, Bo
Okay.
Hog. So he became Bo.
Oh.
But just like they were, I'm sorry, I said wild, not wild. His neighbors like pigs.
Oh.
Like they were like boars, but they were farmed.
So he was a sociopath.
and he just beat them to death with a
Yeah.
stick.
That is if you watch shows like Mindhunter.
Oh yeah,
That is
yeah.
a classic case of this guy's
Animal
going to be a
abuse
problem.
is always
He was only a
problem.
problem for the Kansas City Royals after he got his hip replaced.
I did enjoy his short return stint with the White Sox. though.
Yeah.
he could still hit the shit out of that ball.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
DDP fought Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a 13 minutes and 7. All these matches were like at the 15-minute mark for the most part.
Yeah, like almost
average.
on the head. And the ones that weren't, it was a good reason that they weren't, because it was like the right kind of match to have it a little shorter. They call DDP, especially Shivani, just Diamond Dallas for almost the entire match.
Diamond Dallas. Diamond Dallas. It's like Nick Wayne. Diamond Dallas.
Yeah, I did have that thought. I wonder if it was like a transitional thing for if he was going from his like, good God, Diamond Dallas, when he was like managing the Diamond Stud, which was Razor Ramon before he was Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Like transitioning to the full-time wrestler.
Yeah.
He was incredibly good here, like for a dude that has barely been wrestling and is like 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's doing like Chris Canyon innovation, and then also just not making any mistakes.
Was he better than
ring.
Canyon?
Who's better than Canyon? Everybody. No, you're saying it wrong. Why are you always saying it wrong?
Every fucking time he comes up, you're gonna be doing that. I loved his knockoff "Smells Like Teen Spirit" music.
I said it was like a proto knockoff. Smells like Teen
it was
Spirit.
like it was like a demo.
It was like the thing that it was like the thing that they that Jimmy Hart did first before, because I think he was heel here too. But
yes, which is evidenced by the fact he was chewing on a cigar on the way out.
Yeah. They didn't want to give him the full like baby face. Smells Like Teen Spirit.
No.
So it's like a half-assed one, which makes it even worse. Plus, no self-high five.
Not yet. He did the diamond thing at some point in the match, and no one in the crowd, like, it wasn't popularized yet.
Well, it would be soon.
Yeah.
He's another one of those guys that I was like, as a kid, I'm like, whatever. He's like, looks good, old guy. I don't care. And then I watch him now, and I'm like, he started wrestling when he was like 35, and he's like a flawless performer in the ring. Like, he knows how to work the psychology and the crowd. He like has people in the palm of his hand. Like every match we watch now of DDP, I'm like, man, this guy's super.
We haven't
impressive.
even gotten to the Savage feud. Like when he got really fucking good. I noticed Chavo Guerrero's mustache looked like Ray Finkel.
It did, absolutely.
Also, secondary shout out, John Leguizamo, 90s John Leguizamo, and John Oates of Hall & Oates. Love that mustache.
I hear John Oates is a lovely human being.
Yeah. His kiss is on your lips. That's all I care
I hear
about.
Daryl Hall is kind of a douchebag, and John Oates is just salt of the earth.
That's fine. They're too good for me to care about their personal character.
Yeah, of course.
The band is so fucking perfect.
DDP does multiple tranquilos, which was weird. He was like trying to do them, and it was the one thing that he wasn't really very good at, and he made like 3 efforts at them.
Is that
it's the thing that Andrade does?
Yeah, right.
Like,
that's what that's
tranquilo. Yeah,
he did the Andrade spot. That was like the first thing he did.
But and then he kind of botched it a little bit, and then tried to do it again, and kind of botched it again. But like, I assumed that was just a lucha move, but like, I think this is the earliest I've ever seen that thing done.
Yes, I was surprised to see it.
Did DDP, like 40-year-old DDP in 1996, innovate this move that I assumed was a lucha thing? Like, he's unbelievable.
Which is why it's weird people give Eddie Guerrero so much love in the luchador world. They should be diamond cutting everybody because DDP is the original luchador.
Yes, absolutely. It's me. It's DDP. He's another one of my favorites.
Of course.
Any loud, like I said, anybody I can draw attention to myself in a crowded room doing an impersonation of, I like to do.
You just you got to have that big ass cigar too.
I used to smoke cigars. Yeah. That's douchey as hell.
A little bit. A little bit.
Live and learn.
Oh, you're fine. Right after, so they're like kicking the shit out of each other. Like
it's a great match.
I thought the heat was like really strong for just like very little like what felt like a little backstory. So the backstory is DDP and Eddie Guerrero have been fighting over the name is escaping me. The bowl, the diamond bowl, some
said it, but I don't.
Some kind of trophy. I forgot to write it down. And Eddie Guerrero was out, so Chavo. And by the way, Chavo's 6th WCW match. He started wrestling in Mexico in May of '94, and he came to WCW in May of '96, and he's just this good already.
I mean, his dad is one of the most famous like lucha stars in history. So that probably helps.
It helps. It helps. David Flair did not get the same kind of luxury.
Charlotte did. But
Charlotte certainly did, yeah. he goes outside and he gets the belt, as I mentioned earlier, and Dusty goes, whip him like a dog, baby.
Well, Dusty has a couple good ones in this. Well, like you said, not a ton of backstory, but you know what they did? They wrestled the crowd into it because it was awesome. It was hard hitting, but also like
and it
super fast paced and a ton of that
made sense.
How about that that spinning like power power bomb?
Jesus
that looked like
Christ.
Takeshita doing the Blue Thunder. I'm like, what? DDP,
it was awesome.
Why wasn't I watching this shit in 1996?
But DDP, like he did that. What did we talk about last time? That like float over DDT. Was it the Diamond Stud or something like? Or, no, that was Scott Hall. Whatever. Scott Hall's
but he also had a move called the Diamond Stud.
Is that right? Same thing. But yeah, okay. So I did write it down. So DDP lost the Battle Bowl championship ring to Eddie Guerrero at Clash of Champions.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what this is all about. DDP does like a hawk, Road Warrior hawk, like dope ass fucking top rope clothesline.
Absolutely.
And it looked tough.
Looked like I laid it in.
Yeah.
Like, it looked impactful.
Super
this
tough.
Whole show, by the way, everybody's hitting like a truck.
Yes.
Like every match hitting like a truck.
It's almost like they knew something amazing was about to happen in wrestling and they wanted us to remember them.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was in the air. It was in the Greensboro air.
I'm just mad at myself for not understanding what good wrestling was and being tricked for all these years.
Winston-Salem air. No, Psycho Sid was clearly where it's at.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Chavo, I wrote Chavo's beating the shit out of DDP like he spit on his mother. Like he was going into him.
Yeah.
And then Dusty at some point goes, the Guerreros got a heart of a lion, and Heenan goes, well, he can have the heart of the Detroit Lion.
Detroit
it's not going to help him out here.
That was my first big chuckle from either one of those guys.
There were some times where Heenan would get real quiet after someone would talk. I'm like, he's baking something.
Really, I mean, he was so in character for the show. He couldn't do quite as many like one-liners as when he's like not invested and he's talking to Gorilla Monsoon or whatever. Yeah. But I enjoyed the character work he did here just as much. So
totally.
Like, I'll take the one-liners and when they come.
It's a good point. He was peppering it in while keeping the overarching severity of the situation. No, it's good. What's it called? Another line, Dusty said, there's no quit in the Guerrero family, I guarantee. And Heenan goes, well, I heard the whole family was quitters. I heard Eddie Guerrero was a quitter. He's a quitter. Talking about Chavo. His dad got laid off 14 times in 1 week at a job. He's a quitter.
Heenan is the best.
Oh, man.
Dusty, if you're going to do a Dusty line, you got to at least do this part of it.
Oh, there's no quitting the Guerrero. I can't even. There's no quitting the Guerrero family.
You know, there's no quitting these Guerreros.
I sound more like Randy Newman. When I try to, there's no quitting the Guerrero family.
You got a friend in me.
I love LA. They fought in the second ring, which was surprising to me.
They did.
Because they don't do that in WWE when they do the War Games.
I don't think they do it in AEW either when they do the fake War Games.
You think that's because that would imply they would have to set up multiple hard cams, right? Just for angle purposes?
I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
Yeah, because not every match was only in one of the Rey Mysterio match was in the other ring.
No, yeah, Rey, for no reason, jumped into the other ring.
Why not? Yeah, we'll get to that.
And DDP did hit the Diamond Cutter.
It's not very good.
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's like his music. It's like a proto Diamond Cutter.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does. You know, the famous thing that. Shoulders back, chest out, he used to talk about all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably because he was telling himself that because, like, at this point, he wasn't really doing shoulders back, chest out. My favorite part about it, though, was Dusty's call of it. It was just, he cut him.
That was it?
That was it. Like,
he
cut him.
I'm just going to do Randy Newman impressions.
Just Randy Newman for everybody.
I'm good with that. And again, you mentioned it earlier, but that gut wrench, spinning, sit down powerbomb.
It was basically the Takeshita thing from the Ospreay match.
So good.
I jumped out of my chair. I wasn't expecting to sit down for a 1996 WCW pay-per-view and on the first match, jump out of my chair.
I mean, it was there.
I am 100% a DDP guy now.
Oh, 100,
I'm a fan for life at this point.
He didn't even peak until he became a stalker either.
But this was his rookie-ish time as a wrestler. He was a manager.
And he didn't look like a guy that would do shit like this.
No.
And peppered in throughout the show. It's like they just planted a bunch of flower seeds and the flowers were about to grow. There was good shit everywhere. And the crowd's minute reactions to stuff like this. You're just like, now watching it back, like I hopped up and like arms
Yeah.
went in the air, and they're just like, "Where's Ric Flair?"
No,
You know, kind of thing.
I mean, that's a problem with WCW. Like throughout their history, the '80s, like early '80s through mid to early '90s, every time like Flair had a falling out, they loved Ric Flair so much that like the "Where's Ric Flair" thing is kind of a long running. But the fans got way into this. You know why? Because this is how you open a pay-per-view
Yeah,
by comparison to last week.
Yeah.
With Thugonomics and Rene Dupree and Rape Vibes.
Yeah.
No, give me DDP and Chavo Guerrero tearing the goddamn house down.
Yeah.
Getting the whole world behind them.
Absolutely. Not a single objectification of a female on this entire show either.
No, like not even a Missy Hyatt.
No.
Who, even when she was around, wasn't really. She was just doing like the, what was her name? Rhonda Shear Up All Night thing. Like that's basically what she was doing. Just like a country version.
Great match.
But no like rape vibes here.
No.
whatsoever.
Absolutely great match. Loved it.
Fantastic way to kick the PPV. It's the way Dusty was unable to say pay-per-view back in the day.
Pay-per-view.
We go to the back, and we got a special report from Mean Gene. Again, recapping kind of the birth and ascension of NWO.
Yeah.
Which,
really comprehensive. Like
Yes.
I thought the top of the show promo was really good. And then Mean Gene covers it like it's a fucking hard copy piece.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
It just goes really in depth with everything.
Great.
Like timestamp and everything. Like May 27th, this happened. June 16th, this happened.
Yeah,
and
gave
it's
me timelines. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see how this progressed exactly. Now,
And that's like they took super care. This is probably a bad way to start a sentence, but like they did a really nice job with the details. And like it made, again, I didn't have to go back and like look at what happened prior to this and it made me kind of like, well, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah.
This is really good.
It's all the stuff that when I'm like gushing over when AEW is going their best, I had no idea this was the case, but like they're doing WCW like mid-90s stuff like this. Like paying attention to all the little details and the through lines, and I just didn't know it existed.
No.
Like in this era,
Absolutely not.
it was just I was such a WWF guy. Like
two things that stood out here that that we didn't cover, and like we know all the big beats, like Kevin Nash shows up, like, you know, this is where the big boys play, and I hadn't seen it in forever, but when he lawn darts Rey Mysterio into the side of the trailer, still tough as hell to watch today.
It's one of the worst bumps.
Oh my god,
of all time.
And then they talk about how Nick Patrick was like a heel referee.
He was the NWO ref for a while,
and he wasn't like an official guy, but like he was an official guy. And the whole time Heenan too, he's like, we got to keep an eye on this guy, because and then there was some match later where it was Savage and Giant where Heenan's the ref. Or I'm sorry, Nick Patrick's the ref, and Heenan's like, what, you fucking serious?
Yeah, what's going on here? Like, come on.
So like, awesome promo.
Yeah.
To really tee up the rest of the show.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And then Jeff Farmer, Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. It's not Jumpin' Jeff, just Jeff Farmer's fake.
We do it now. You could just use his son. Either one of them, actually. It's fake Sting.
Fake Sting?
If you wanted to do a fake Sting, you could use either one of his sons, because they look just like Sting.
Oh, that's one of them.
His retirement.
Yeah, one of them.
One's a little bit too long and gangly, but he's. If you look at his face, he looks.
I thought you meant fake Sting sons. I'm like, are they dressing up like him too?
Yeah, it's FTR. You know it.
Oh, right. They look nothing like they're. No.
We got next weirdly stipulated match. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was one of the weaker matches of the show, but Ice Train with Teddy Long.
Holla.
I'm going to have you have a tag team match with the Undertaker player, like that guy. But this is when Teddy Long was kind of cool, actually, versus my favorite guy with a beer belly with abs on top of his beer belly. That kind of tough guy, Scott Norton. I think he was a big Japan guy. Like they love, like me, Vader and Stan Hansen.
Yeah.
Like they love those like kind of beer belly truck driver, but with like hard beer belly with like abs on them.
Yeah, heart
like
attack fat.
The scariest fat guys.
Yeah, you know who did not love him? Those in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay, so you get Ice Train. I know that they told us why, but Ice Train, who was he? Was he the big cat guy? I don't know who he was otherwise. Besides. Ice Train.
I just known him as Ice Train.
He did portray another character later in WCW. I can't remember. He's a house and a hard hitter.
Big
and
boy.
Scott Norton, obviously a house and a hard hitter. Why are they in a submission match?
They did say that like they each Ice Train had a full Nelson, and then Scott Norton had like an armbar submission,
Yeah.
which is all you need to qualify both of them to be in a submission
Why don't you
match.
make it just an I Quit match? Because these two are great at beating the shit out of each other, but then they are forced into like trying to be Bret Hart, and they're not Bret Hart.
Just make it a match because they were a tag team.
Yeah.
And let them just fight.
Yeah, they were fire
a
and
match.
ice, right?
Yeah, they were fire and ice. Big.
WCW, even when they do that, they do the Ebony and Ivory thing, they're able to do it without throwing in some weird racist stuff.
Well, this is what happens when they do not live in perfect harmony. They have the worst match on the goddamn show.
Yeah. But you know what? For the worst match on the show, it wasn't like
I was bored to death.
it was boring.
Yeah.
It was because it was two big hosses that weren't really allowed to hoss it up as much as they should have.
Yeah.
But like, didn't go super long, I don't think.
It was the shortest match on the show, 7 minutes and 8 seconds, like
Got
half
in
of
and
what
out.
it was.
Teddy Long being goofy.
What bothered me about the match was Scott Norton did submission moves like a video game where he would just get bored and want to try other shit.
Yeah.
Like he had him several
Which is
times.
why you don't have these guys do a submission match.
Like he had him in a at one point, a deep ass Boston Crab.
Yeah.
And he just fucking stood
just
up and
let
he's
it
like,
go.
I guess we'll do an arm thing now.
Like, that's not how submissions
Like, what
work,
are you doing?
dude. You just keep doing it until...
No, that was the match.
it was just a weird stipulation that kind of ruined any...
Finish ended with fucking Ice Train getting a full Nelson after Teddy Long interference.
Full Nelson, the worst submission move there is, basically.
I hated it. He did do it like intelligently though. We're like, I can't believe I'm saying this about this fucking match, but like he had him in a full Nelson, and then like
Scary, tough guys.
He got him to the ground and like buried his fucking head into the ground where you couldn't move. Like
no.
It's like,
and
oh,
like because of
plausible.
stuff like that. Like, yes, I agree. Worst match on the card.
Yeah.
Like a 4 out of 10 or whatever, compared to Fake Gangrel versus Bob Holly, the women's match, Charlie Haas's match.
You're talking about the Great American Bash 2004
last
now.
week.
Yeah.
Like this
2004
is Steamboat Savage compared to those matches. So like coming off of that, I'm like, okay, if this is the
barometer,
cool down match, like, okay, we're in for a good time.
All these matches were likely not made the prior Thunder, which did not exist yet, 3 days prior to the show. One cool thing they were doing again, Shivani was keeping the through thread of the show with all the NWO demands.
Yeah.
And he's like, if they win tonight, they're going to demand, they want their own NWO segment on each show. Hell, they want their own TV show. They want their own NWO tag team tournament. They want a limo for Hogan. They want their own jet.
Which they got.
And if they win, WCW pays all the bills for the NWO, and they want no more the NWO wants no more biased officiating.
Yeah, just Nick Patrick only.
Which I enjoyed that, but good job.
Was this the inception of Lil H? Was he like the anti-Nick Patrick? I don't remember when.
No, because he was wearing robes and shit. Like he was full on like Ric Flair. Yeah, I know
he did with Jimmy Uso at a house show like this last weekend. He did a callback to his Lil Nate.
Oh, really?
He went nuts. Yeah. We got Hoovy Juice, Juventud Guerrero versus another guy who I have had a re-examination of over the years, Conan.
Yeah.
I always thought Conan again was like, I don't like. I think his podcast is kind of crappy and all. And
it's not his fault. It's his co-host's fault.
Yes, exactly. He's fine, and like he's a great promoter. He arguably has like the best promotion in wrestling, in like North American wrestling.
AAA.
They are. It's either CMLL or AAA.
He's AAA.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying the promotion. They may both do this. The wrestlers are unionized.
Oh, okay.
And also, CMLL sells out they own the building. It's in the same place every week. Sell out 16,000 seats.
Oh, wow.
Weekly in the same. So like,
not bad.
We get a little too uppity about like talking about the most successful wrestling promotions. Like CMLL's been selling out 16,000 seats in the same building for like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
But Conan, like Triple A is the other biggest one. And by all indications, Conan's a great booker too. Like a good boss to have.
He's got a good mind too. And like, since you mentioned the podcast, like whenever I see something going on in the world, like I'm dying to know what he has to think.
Yeah.
And when he gets a chance to talk and complete a full sentence.
Assholes on his show.
I don't know. Cause like makes you. It's the whole Howard Stern thing. It's like why did people who like him listen? Because they wanted to see what he would say next. Why do people who hate him listen? Because they wanted to see what he would say next.
I suppose.
So there's like that.
2024.
Yeah,
I'd rather just hear what Conan has to say.
But dude, as a kid, I fucking loved Conan. I thought he was the cool. I thought the Tequila Sunrise was one of the coolest goddamn finishers.
It is. You
ever.
were right. I was wrong. Like I considered him like the biggest embodiment of crappy WCW when they had like the filthy animals towards the end and stuff. And
I was like, I'll give you that.
This guy's trash.
I tapped out by then.
But like in retrospect, I always thought it was kind of weird after I started doing some of the history research, knowing that he was like one of the biggest luchadors in Mexico, being not Mexican. He's like Cuban, I think.
Sure.
But watching this match specifically, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a power guy.
Yeah.
Who's an incredible base for like an awesome luchador like Juventud.
Yeah, like flippy guys.
Yeah, and his move set was great too. But like,
it was a lot of like, I mean, this felt like a spot fest.
I mean, it's Juventud Guerrero.
No, but like there was no. Whereas, like, we were kind of high praising Chavo and DDP, where, like, yeah, they were doing a bunch of cool shit. Like, there was a lot of, and you're big on this, and since you've been started saying this, like, I can't unsee it now, all the in-between shit.
In-between stuff.
Right? So we
got another great example of great in-between stuff in a lucha match in a little bit.
Oh,
here
totally.
Too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right.
But, like, this match was like, move, take a break, move, take a break, which I was fine with, but.
It makes it feel like an exhibition.
Yes,
more than a competition.
It was like, hey, look at what we're gonna do next. Hey, we gotta get some energy.
It was still fun as hell.
I had a good time.
And Hoovy, which he almost never does, didn't really botch anything. Yeah. Usually he has 3 or 4 botches because back then he was always trying stuff that like nobody ever. Yeah. He was like Mexican Sabu basically. So he would always have a few scary things. But I think Conan being such a great base for him was part of that too. Yeah. But yeah, this wasn't really a story. It was just like an exhibition of what these two guys can do.
Absolutely.
But the Hoovy Juice exhibition, I'm happy to watch that.
It was their first match together, their first singles match together.
Wow. Yeah. Great chemistry.
Yeah. And it was for the AAA heavyweight title, which Conan was not wearing around his waist because instead he was wearing Jimmy Hart. Who was his manager for reasons. And Conan is representing the Dungeon of Doom in this match. So he is
your boy.
And he
Conan. What's Conan's like real last name? Like Gucci.
More syllables the better. What was that guy's name? Because the
master?
The master.
Because it was the master and the taskmaster.
Yeah.
Dusty had my favorite line of the show in this match. Actually, Dusty and Shivani back and forth. Dusty said, what would be the international remamations here? And Tony was like, I don't think, because he was asking today, I don't think Mike knows what a remamation is. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was just, but that was it.
Yeah.
I'll cut that.
Oh, no, you're fine. Keep it in. Keep it.
Oh, today also referred to Conan's, I guess, recent heel tactics as Mexican gang attitude, which I thought was kind of funny.
It was the most like Wall Street way of describing.
Yeah.
I was a nerdy white guy talking about gang affiliation of Conan.
By the way, this was supposed to be Conan and Psychosis, but
oh, that would be something.
Yeah, Conan injured him.
Psychosis rules.
Psychosis was fun. I'm always shocked at those, like, and this might just me being stupid because I never thought about this until now. As a kid, I'm like, how are those horns not killing anybody? But they're probably made of the softest.
I think it's the same as, what's his name? The Japanese guy that started all of this shit.
Oh, the Liger?
Yeah. Yushin Thunder Liger. I don't think his horns. A show, not a podcast, there's no other wrestling podcast, but a show I like talked about, like, what if after his retirement he took that thing off and that was just his head. He had like fleshy horns under his head. His
all
whole,
sensitive.
The entire like.
The first move of this match was a full flip release German suplex.
Yeah, yes.
That was the first match.
Think
or
even
first
happened
move.
In matches till like 2015.
I thought Brock Lesnar invented that.
Yeah.
It's just all my notes are just awesome spots.
Yeah.
From the match, like Conan lifts, Juventud. What do you say? He just picks him up and throws him outside.
Strong is. I mean, he was a big guy, but like strong as an ox.
Just throws him outside the ring, and this is when Mike Tenay's like,
Conan representing the Cholos of Mexico.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, Tenay probably was kind of in with the community.
Yeah.
So like it's okay for him to say that.
Yeah.
But he's like so dorky.
So
You know,
dorky.
like-
Well, the Professor Mike Tenay, the Cholos of Mexico.
And I had to Google, like, I'm like, I've heard that phrase like
Cholo.
my entire life. I'm like, oh, it's just like,
I know what the outfits that
it's-
is usually
it's a very
associated with
yeah.
with that is, the white shirt and like chinos and
yeah, it's what Conan would wear to the ring.
Yeah.
Button one top.
yeah,
you
the
know?
button on top of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's just, Juventud did from the other ring, he did a triple springboard senton.
Yeah.
And
That
it
was
got-
the one where I was like, okay, here comes the Hoovy box.
Yeah.
Nope.
The most tepid reactions from this fucking
Yeah.
crowd. I was
maybe they're actually like super hardcore. You're not doing the in between stuff.
Yeah.
You're not doing the like the little touches that make this match matter. But
Right.
like I don't know how you watch Juventud do that
No.
and not go like, holy Christ.
It did not get, and I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, not Conan's power bombing Juventud outside the ring, and that's when Jimmy
Yeah.
Hart gets right in the camera. I was like, oh, Rainbow La Raza!
That's the
Oh, Rainbow La Raza!
that's another thing that like because I was just the WWF
Baby.
guy. I did not know that people were being thrown over the top rope directly to the floor,
No.
like in wrestling in 1996.
Nope.
And it happens on
Well,
this pay-per-view
that
like
was-
a bunch of times.
Wasn't that an automatic disqualification in WWF for a while?
Well, it wasn't. It
threw
wasn't
him over the-
WCW for a long
threw him
time.
over the
'Cause
top
the
rope,
Ric
right?
Flair and Japanese guy, that big schmozzy finish thing they did, where Ric Flair went over to Japan and he lost. Supposedly was supposed to be the WCW, the big gold, and also the NWA title.
Yeah.
But then like Dusty didn't want to give up the big gold title, so he said like, oh, because you threw him over the top rope and that's illegal in WCW, you were disqualified for that portion of it, so you can win the NWA title,
Right.
but not the WCW title.
Right.
So I obviously that is well gone at this point, but
Yeah.
in like '89 or something, it was illegal in WCW too.
Well,
But it's awesome.
Conan just said, fuck
Like,
it, here we
I
go.
mean, half this pay-per-view is like people and the mats on the cement at this show
A little thin.
are like
Little thin.
the rug under our feet right now. Like I don't know what it does besides what Giovanni's pointed out. In both WCW and AEW, those mats are really only there to prevent lacerations. That's all they do.
Lacerations. Go good.
So if you hit your head, it doesn't bust open.
As
Just
long,
gives
but
you brain damage.
it
still.
won't.
Like,
Yes, you'll get a full-on concussion, but you will not get a laceration.
yeah.
I forgot Conan's rolling clothesline. Like his
Conan's entire offense is like
Yeah.
rolling based, and in a good way. It's
Yeah.
like victory roll based offense.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's like watching what is the Jamaican fighting style? Capoeira.
oh, that's
Like
a new
Conan developed his own
it's a new word for me.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, capoeira is the thing where you're how a boxing stance, you're like going back and forth on your front foot and back foot
Yeah.
to maintain balance.
Bobbing and weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but like even when you're standing still, you're constantly shifting back and forth.
Sure.
Well, capoeira is a Jamaican fighting style where you do an entire like a dance
Yeah.
while you're like waiting, and then every move you do is like a based off of that.
Oh.
You'll swing into whatever, like a headlock and take down or whatever. But Conan is kind of like that. He developed his own like. He could be like a Street Fighter 6 or something. Like he's got his own like gimmick.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. All of his shit was like specifically Conan. Wrestling Insider. That's what Mike Tenay's nickname was on the show. The
yeah.
Wrestling Insider.
I mean, he was one,
yeah.
but like, the Professor's a better nickname.
Yeah. I wrote Juventud back body dropped and lands on top of the second ring rope. Conan and then Conan power bombs Juventud back into the first ring.
Yeah.
He just fucking throws
Power
him.
runs the shit out of him. Like, I felt bad for Hoovy Juice when he hit that. It was like a Bob Holly ass power
It was just like whoop, like airmailed him.
This whole show was stiff as fuck.
It was stiff.
It's like ECW or something.
Let's see. Oh, there was one spot where I thought I had to watch it really closely. Kind of like when AJ Brzezinski had the drop third strike. I'm like, is this as close as I think? Did he land on his fucking face? Hoovy has Conan on the top rope. He looks like he's going to do a top rope Frankensteiner because it's not a Hurricane Rana yet. And Mike Tenay might have called it a Hurricane Rana like in this match. I can't remember. But since continuity.
He may have said it. He did say Frankenstein. Tenay specifically said Frankensteiner at least once because I was like, hey, the guy that's calling, he's saying Frankensteiner too.
Then we're going with Frankensteiner. But he's got, Hoovie's got Conan for an avalanche Frankensteiner and inexplicably does a backflip off the top rope. And I swear to God, he landed on his fucking face.
Yeah.
And
looked like
then And then Conan attacked him. But I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that? You had him. You stupid man.
Still fun.
Now, Juventud goes for like one of those wheelbarrow things that Rey Mysterio does, and then he pops up and he does a bulldog. And Conan just keeps the momentum going and does like a Gunther German suplex.
Absolutely.
Which, like to your point,
brutal as hell
fuck.
again. Like like a Takeshita.
Yeah.
Gunther.
Yes,
like
better
German.
example, Takeshita. Juvi's 450, which would become like his thing, synonymous with him, does not win the match.
Doesn't win the match, and the people didn't go nearly as apeshit as they should have.
No.
Seeing a 450 in 1996.
They want to see chops and figure fours.
They want to see ring psychology in between. Like
that's it. And apparently the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
Conan delivers a tough looking Alabama Slam.
Oh yeah, again Bob Holly-esque Alabama
it was
Slam.
like Bob Holly, Spike Dudley-esque.
There were
excuse me.
There were two different Alabama Slams on this show. One of them was like Super Alabama Slam because it was like a fake out. We'll talk about when we get to it. But both that one and this one, I was like, oh, concussion. That is a concussion.
And so after the awesome Alabama Slam, he decides we're going to do a muscle buster.
Yeah.
And that does not win the match. But what does win the match is cool.
The fact that Conan invented the muscle buster, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But yes. Homeboy was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And he wrestled this badass a style, I understand why he was the biggest star in like Mexican wrestling for a long time. Because like there was nobody else that was probably 260, 270.
No.
Like he's built like a silverback gorilla. Like his just the shape of his body. And he's just laying everything in.
Yeah.
That had to be awesome against all these different like lucha guys.
Makes me want to go back and watch Max Moon matches to see if he had the same offense.
I would like to go see a CMLL live. I've watched some stuff about some of their live stuff, and the crowds are just like absolutely unglued from beginning to end.
It's like a soccer match, man.
Probably the same people because it's the same building.
Yeah,
16,000 of them every week losing their goddamn minds.
16,000 Brock Lesnar guys.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I'm sure they're much less rude.
Yeah, they're much better behaved.
Brock Lesnar.
And they change their shirt once in a while.
Yeah.
The finish of this match was called the Power Drop. And the Power Drop is Conan stands on the bottom rope in the corner and does a razor's edge, but he just fucking throws him.
Yeah,
just like how Ethan Page does it.
Hucks him. Yeah.
And after this match, Mike Tenay leaves. It wasn't a great match, but like I was so
showcase
goddamn
of moves that I was like, damn, this is awesome.
Perfect way to put it. Awesome showcase. 13 minutes, 45 seconds. You know what it reminded
me of a little bit?
What's that?
One of my favorite matches from this year, Darby Takeshita. Like, it wasn't a whole bunch of story behind it. There wasn't much to it beyond Takeshita's super strong and very stiff, and Darby's a little guy that can take all kinds of punishment.
Yeah.
And, like, I loved that match, and I very much enjoyed this match for the same reasons.
Yeah.
It was but tons of fun.
This was fun.
I don't know what I would, like, rank it. It would be a tough one to give, like, a star rating to. We are, by the way, going to start doing... and up on the website, which will be bluethunderpod.com. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do. Dave and I have recruited a couple other people who are big wrestling fans, and we're gonna do like aggregate star ratings for our matches going forward. Maybe like probably starting at WrestleMania. I'm thinking it'd be a good time to do that. Our first one.
Yeah. Mostly to combat like the other guys that do star ratings.
Well, I mean,
and you're like, what?
It's wrong to do the way they do. I also feel bad for Dave Meltzer because he's just a guy who like started giving his reviews to matches he liked, and then everyone decided like, well, this is the one that matters, and then people get pissed at him. But like, he didn't decide that his star ratings.
I'm sure he's not
just
bummed
was like,
about it. Though.
No, it helped his career and everything. But like, all he was doing was giving star ratings, and he had he's got a very specific style. Oh, by the way, speaking of bad Meltzer calls, I was going to show this to you if we didn't get too late a start, because I thought I remembered you. Oh, they put this up on YouTube. Mania 21, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, which in my estimation, maybe Shawn Michaels' best match. Definitely better than the Undertaker matches that everybody says are so legendary.
Yeah,
that match is Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels is art.
I remember being at your house really pissed that Shawn Michaels lost, and everybody else there was like, he had to lose.
Yeah.
Like, he's the old guy putting the new guys over.
Well,
And
that
I'm
was
like,
when it was also when he couldn't even do the super kick because his back was so jacked, right?
Also, too, I hate, this is the first show he had those new pants on.
Yeah.
I'm like, this fucking sucks. Wear your little heartbroken hearts on your backside.
He wore jeans at the Bad Blood, but it was still a great match. The
Yeah.
one that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
That I had to go back and watch.
Yeah.
But that angle, Shawn Michaels match, a top 5 all-time WrestleMania match, the most underrated WWE match of all time, in my opinion.
But not a 5-star match.
But not a 5-star match.
Not a
So I
5-star
read
match.
4.75, I think he went.
Give him the 5.
It's of course.
the fuck
Give
outta
him a
here.
7.
4.75 on a scale
I mean, he
of 5.
He just fell in love with Japan so much that like anything that deviates too far from that. But like, it's not like HBK and Kurt Angle were really wrestling a WWE style match there. They were going 100 miles an hour the whole match.
Yeah.
Like, they're both freaks.
That was 21, so yeah, Kurt Angle. I think Kurt Angle had a little bit extra energy by that point in his
Probably,
career.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of a little bit of extra energy, a pay-per-view debuting
babyface.
Chris
like,
Jericho,
literally, not in the wrestling term.
white
like a
meat babyface. Chris
but-
Jericho versus Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit, like a much under-muscled Chris Benoit from what I was used to seeing him as, even in his late WCW days.
Yeah,
he
was like
actually
Barry
looked like a
Bonds.
human.
Barry Bonds on the Pirates.
Yeah, exactly. He was still awesome and like hitting hard and everything.
Yeah.
But not nearly as like crazy juiced up and psycho looking.
So when he was like, what was it, Pegasus something or other?
The Pegasus Kid.
Pegasus Kid.
He was. I know he was Dynamite's boy, but he's just exactly Dynamite Kid at this point specifically.
Yeah.
Every move does it the same way.
Yeah.
Just the way he moves in the ring, walking into the ring, it's all Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable.
Chris Jericho comes out to what I can only describe
Kenny
as
Loggins Summer Jam is
I
what
was
I got.
that's a good one. I wrote a Simple Minds instrumental.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
perfect.
It was just like didn't fit him at all.
They didn't know what they were doing yet. He was just like a young, talented guy
First
with
pay per
blonde
view
hair.
match.
Yeah,
that was cool. The crowd sucked. The crowd, like, I couldn't get over because these two beat
This match
the
ruled.
shit out of each
Ruled.
other. It was
Like,
really good.
It was a great match.
Yes.
It told a great story.
Yeah.
And like you said, everything. Benoit does a couple of back suplexes that I was like, gee, lay off, man. You're
Yeah.
going to kill this kid.
Yeah.
Like, it was Benoit, and little did we know he probably didn't care
No.
if he would have killed him. But
No. But this was pre, like, historical monster Benoit.
yes.
So, like,
But what I was shocked by was like Jericho was like laying shit
yeah.
in. Like his clotheslines, top rope clothesline, that drop kick he does, the springboard drop kick in the corner thing.
He did a different kind,
Like
though.
hit him right in the face.
He
but it's
jumped
not
to the
like-
top rope and then springboard. Like, this is young.
Because this is 25-year-old
Dude, I
Jericho.
forgot that he had like a dope top rope, like missile drop
Bunch
kick
of
and like
incredible stuff.
he-
That also, by the way, he just hit right in the face.
Yeah.
Like,
his like. I don't have many notes. All I wrote is Chris Benoit beat the fuck out of Chris Jericho.
Benoit got most of the offense in this match, but like the offense that Jericho got was great. He really Heenan really pushing the Benoit is like ideally the he's the perfect kind of guy to be a horseman, and I was like, that's correct. He's technically flawless. He has a very stoic attitude, and he has a domestically abusive behavior pattern. It's like him and Tully be bosom buddies. He would fit in perfectly in the
nice buddy
in the
cop
horseman.
show. Police cops. Chris Jericho. I'm sorry, Benoit put Chris Jericho in the Lion Tamer at one point.
This was the match, by the way. I'm sorry. Yeah, he did get him the Lion Tamer,
That's
but it wasn't the finish kind of thing yet.
No, that was
Like, it
another
wasn't-
transition.
I don't think he had established it as that. This was the one with the Alabama Slam that I was like, oh Christ.
Yeah.
So Benoit does like a fake back body drop. Like he goes like he's gonna do a back body drop to Jericho. Somehow stops mid, like he gets him up and over, but then like grabs his legs before, so he can't do the flip all the way over.
Yeah.
And then immediately transitions into like the most sledgehammery ass Alabama Slam I've ever seen.
Brutal.
I hope Jericho knew that was coming, because it kind of looked like he didn't.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody do that move since. Because this was the first time I've ever seen that move.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, what was that?
Yeah.
Some crazy ass stampede Stu Hart bullshit.
I mean, that's it. I was thinking that during this match, I'm like, these guys have fought like they already fought in ECW and shit, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
and they were fighting. They were probably
They're both in
in
Stampede,
and
too.
in Mexico.
In Mexico.
And like they're
He
just
was Pegasus Kid in Mexico under the mask.
and what the hell was Jericho?
We should
He
know.
was-
He talks about it every week on AEW.
Oh, Jesus
He was just a lion. He was Lionheart
Ugh.
in Mexico.
I like this Jericho a lot.
Oh yeah, he was great.
2024
It reminded me of why
Jericho?
I was so excited for him to come to WWF
Yeah.
back in the day.
Absolutely.
He was amazing here.
Amazing.
Even as the dude that was getting his ass kicked most
Yeah.
of the time. It was
And
like
again,
oh, they also did a back superplex, which is not something you even see now because it's like broken neck city.
Like, we're gonna hope for the best.
That was the finish, I think, was the back superplex.
Avalanche backdrop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the finish.
Yeah.
And Chris Jericho used a tombstone pile driver as a lion salt transition.
Yeah, yes.
Like,
yeah.
why not? We're just going to throw fucking
We're just gonna-
tombstones
oh, yeah.
in 96 when it's like easily the most protected
Let's
move.
just
And
throw an ECW match in the middle of this WCW.
it's really what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what
a
it
good
was.
point. Yeah.
And in other words, it fucking ruled.
It was really good.
like
Like
yeah, it was
match
great.
wise,
It was great.
This was I think the best match on the show.
Probably, yeah.
Like match, like
I have,
athletically.
I have another. I have would be a controversial opinion, just because it was something so different on this card that I was like, man, I didn't know this. Like I've seen stuff like it in Japan, but just straight up match. Yeah, this was like watching Heatwave '95 or something.
Yeah.
It was ECW, and they went for a while too.
They went
like
for the average 14 minutes,
14
36
minutes,
seconds.
100 miles an hour the entire time.
Yes, which is why it
like
felt
no
maybe
rest
longer than it
holds.
was.
Like
No, because fuck rest holds.
yeah, no, with these two, like at the top of their game,
No.
I could watch them wrestle forever. Like they should have invented the Fight Forever chant for that match.
Yeah.
The crowd literally wasn't even.
I wish they
Poor
invented.
Jericho was doing like his. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They didn't do. This was pre-woo chops.
Yeah.
Like they were chopping the shit out of each other, and I'm like, why is no one wooing?
Yeah, with the big like whap chops
Yeah,
that would be normally. But Jericho got, I felt terrible for poor young babyface Jericho. He got up on the corner and come on, baby, and everybody was like, boo,
Nothing.
boo, like light boos,
Yeah.
like disinterested boo.
Crowds for this.
They were a
I can't
weird
say,
crowd.
I can't say the crowd sucked because they came fucking alive for
And they got up for some weird stuff too.
Yeah.
Like,
But for the stuff I was like, this match would have been better
yeah.
if you guys like paid attention. It would have
Yeah, it was
made
like Osprey Shibata. Like, why aren't you cheering more?
Yeah.
It would make this better because these guys are awesome.
yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely goddamn brutal.
So, yeah, and then
match.
after that, at this point, Heenan is just absolutely like baby-facing everyone that's not NWO because he was like putting over both Jericho and Benoit at the end of this.
Yeah.
Just because he's like, they're ours. They're one of ours. Like, so.
He also said, I think Dusty's like, Chris Jericho's gonna be the future of WCW. And it's like, kind of Dusty.
Yeah, I love Randy Newman. Is your Dusty Rhodes?
I can't do Dusty. I can do a Randy
Dusty
Newman.
Newman.
Though. Dusty
you can do great
Newman.
Randy Newman.
Yeah.
I love it. Keep it. So the next match is the match I was talking about that I was like, at first I'm like, meh. And then like a couple of minutes in, I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing. And then halfway through the match, I'm like, holy shit. This is like a Japanese strong style match way before I knew what that was. Super Callow, who I knew nothing about.
I remember this fucker.
I mean, I remember his name.
Yeah.
And he was with WCW. I looked it up. He was with WCW like through from here
The
through the
boom
rest of his
period.
career.
Yeah.
Versus very young looking Rey Mysterio for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship, which Rey is currently the holder of. Rey's entrance music is like, I've never heard it like this before.
Was
but
that the,
it
like,
was
brum?
it was like Mysterio. It was like Spider-Man. It was
Yeah.
like all woo, woo, and they had green smoke going and stuff. It was like Mysterio.
Very on the nose.
Yeah. But like I'm used to Ray coming out to boom, you know, like or like the Filthy Animals or whatever. This was like kind of heelish. I mean, he was a babyface here, but it was just weird. Like them leaning into the Mysterio thing. I'd just never seen that before.
Maybe they were trying to get some love from Marvel.
Yeah.
Or DC, whoever it is.
Marvel was floundering at that time. I think '96 was like when the comics industry was hurting like real bad.
Yeah.
Super Kello comes out and his ring gear looks like something he cobbled together, like a pair. It looked like a pair of silver like ladies bikini bottoms was his mask.
Yeah.
He's got like a pair of knockoff wraparound Oakleys that you would get like on like outside a
Like a resort?
Sox game, like guy selling peanuts and like knockoff Oakleys or like a resort town.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then like he had a hat that the only thing I could think of to describe what it looked like was it looked like what kind of a poser Harley Davidson enthusiast, like a weekend motorcycle rider, would wear.
Yeah.
He wore it backwards, like a leather cap.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just had like a shirt and some floppy 90s pants.
Yeah, I thought he looked like I think I've used this analogy before. I haven't unlocked any good shit in the video game.
Absolutely.
Character
Like,
clothes.
this is the best I can do.
You're like, this looks kind of neat, right? I'm gonna win a couple matches so we can get a nicer T-shirt.
Keenan did like halfway through the match, like I just want to know how he keeps that hat on.
Fair question.
Just a hat. It's a hat on top
fair.
of a. But what his terrible gear betrayed was this dude was like the most brutal luchador I've ever seen. Doing like regal stretches and laying in like super like stiff strike offense. He beats the shit out of Rey Mysterio in this match for the entirety of it.
Yep.
And it works because Rey is like skinnier than he would grow to be, so he's like real little in this. And Super Callow, man, like I'm gonna go back and watch this guy's whole catalog because the performance that he put on, it was one of those like, okay, I'm a fan, like a lifelong fan of him now.
Yeah,
that he was relentless. The fans didn't get into this at all. There was a huge boring like
chant.
right at the beginning, which like it's Rey Mysterio and the match barely started.
But they don't know yet.
Jackholes.
They don't know yet.
But then they put on a clinic. It was like Zack Sabre Jr. with like Cash Wheeler striking.
Yeah.
With like Brody King mean streak.
Yeah.
Super Callow is awesome.
He was. I'm glad you had a good time.
I know it's niche because it is like a grapple fuck kind of thing.
Yeah,
but it was like great grapple fuck thing.
Yeah,
it was a lot of submissions, but not rest hold submissions. It was like working on a thing and then transitioning to another thing that made sense, not slowing down, not like taking breathers, like actually staying on top. Of like just brutalizing. It looked kind of like when Shibata and Wheeler Yuta had their match. Very similar to that, which was one of my favorite matches too. It was just it was like you probably would have liked that match.
I don't like anything he does.
Shibata just like made him his bitch for the entire match.
Oh, then I probably would have.
It was basically this match except Shibata won.
I like Wheeler Yuta best when he's off of my television completely.
Actually, I kind of understand that. He gets some X-Pac heat. Wheeler.
I thought this was.
I'm sorry. Go.
No, that was. I thought it was. I think coming off of what it came off of, I was just like, okay, like I was just. Plus, also too, like, and this is like having time bias. Like I know what Rey Mysterio is going to have, and also too on the way to the ring, he was talking shit to Dean Malenko, and in my head, I'm just like, I want that. Yeah, I want to watch that, and like, I don't know.
After this, not like. I want more Super Callow, but I will going in. I would have wanted Dean Malenko too. This was a Japanese match. This was like a all Japan like beatdown. He was doing Shibata basically, which is that shit's my jam. Like it's like I know it's not for everybody because it can be a little. Especially when you got Rey Mysterio in there and he's not allowed to do. He grounded him completely, which I thought was awesome.
Well, sure,
like, that's a story thing.
What you should do.
And he was like wrestled in a smart way.
Because the way he lost is when he did not ground.
He didn't. He like lost control of him for a second, and Rey was able to do his thing, and then got a flash.
I gotta watch this match again.
Frankensteiner. I would. It's great. It's a great match.
I'll watch it. I was watching this pay-per-view at like 2 a.m. and just like I'm so tired.
I could like if you're half paying attention. Like this, squinting, this match could look like a boring match, but if you're like locked in and paying attention, you're gonna be like, oh shit, this is a Shibata match. He's like brutalizing and torturing Rey, and absolutely grounding him in the best way possible, right up until he made a mistake, and Rey immediately used his explosiveness to. It was a Frankensteiner into.
The Hurricane Rana
jumped from one ring to the other.
Yeah,
and then I think they said Frankensteiner here too.
Oh, but Frankenstein, Jesus!
But into that like the high stack pin, and it was a total flash pin because Super Carlo had got 99% of the offense in this match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say if you have time, it's worth going
give
back
it another watch
and watching.
I'll order a bento box and watch it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just really want one of those bento boxes. Heenan had a great line at some point in this match where he said to Super Cal, he's like, I would turn his mask sideways so he wasn't able to see anything.
Yeah, I have same note. I'm like, Bobby Heenan was on the forefront of the how do I stop Penta turn his mask sideways. Like, Bobby Heenan was talking about it in 96. He just didn't understand the mask thing like whatsoever.
Also, now that I'm thinking of it, again, the crowd. I think the crowd was really like, because Rey Mysterio, my entire life has been, holy shit, we're all up for this guy. And you're just like, why?
Like that big boring? That was like
right at
30 seconds into the match or something. Like, what?
It was, I think the crowd just kind of, I got to stop focusing so much. But like the crowd's part of it, right? Because like, again, and we're going to talk about it in the next match, but like they made the Nasty Boys match way better than it probably fucking
but like,
was.
how could you not get into Benoit Jericho? Like that was just great on like every like regular North American. It was ECW, man. That was like my favorite promotion of the 90s.
I'll give it another watch.
Dusty had said something. The only move that he recognized was the short arm scissors that Super Carlo did. Daddy, he for like a few seconds, Super Carlo gets Ray in a short arm scissors, and Dusty's like, "Oh yeah, short arm scissors is a great submission hold." I remember one night Pat O'Connor had me in a short arm scissors for about 30 minutes, and I was like, that had to be a great time for the fans.
Oh, yeah.
Watching Pat O'Connor hold a...
For this crowd,
arm scissor.
They probably fucking loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure they would go nuts.
They loved it. Not a bathroom was used for 30 minutes. They're like, this is the peak of wrestling right here, a 30-minute rest hold.
At one point, I wrote, my note was, Kello is maybe the most violent wrestler I've ever seen.
All right, you've convinced me. I got to go watch it again.
He needed new gear, though, because the whole time he's like, oh, my God, this guy's awesome. Why does he look like he got everything from Goodwill?
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's like terrible. Shivani at one point notices that Super Cal is wearing illegal, like, skateboarder-style knee pads. Like hard shell. And Dusty's response is, oh, you noticed that. You picked that up.
Because he's awesome play-by-play commentator.
In the middle of me and Iron Mike's commentary, you picked that right up.
You see?
Then Shivani was like, yeah, I kind of spaced out sometimes.
You see how you're getting a little Randy Newman in yours now, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's undeniable.
Yeah. I'm sure you're rubbing off. I love your Randy Newman. So I just, as long as I get the lisp and
you got to get up here, baby. But sometimes you got to get down.
Daddies and the babies.
Yeah.
My son's wrestling for the world title this week at WrestleMania. I love LA.
When Dusty's not doing a promo, when he's doing commentary, sometimes he does go in the lower Randy Newman register a little bit.
Roman Cody world title wrestling match.
Daddy, just throw a daddy in at the end.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to Taco Bell and order.
Can I get a Crunch Wrap Supreme box?
That's enough of that shit.
They're going to think. Well, I won't say.
No. Tag title match was next.
Yeah, Flash pin. Then we got Harlem Heat versus the Nasty Boys. The Nasty Boys, I always thought were dog shit until this match.
They were good.
So
huge.
Apparently, I was wrong.
Huge. Everybody pop for the Nasty Boys.
The crowd was just on fire for this whole match.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, this was like another kind of ECW match. They just beat the Christ out of each other.
They didn't
Both
stop.
teams.
They did not stop.
Booker T, I'd never seen him lay it in like he was in this match.
Yeah.
He was just hitting them as hard as he could, and the Nasty Boys were like, in turn, doing the same thing.
Right.
It was like a shoot fight. It reminded me of the Steiners and Head Shrinkers.
Yeah.
It was like, they're just beating the shit out of each other this whole match.
Yeah.
Like it's, what a technical marvel or anything, but it's a lot of fun to watch. And also, the Nasty Boys are way bigger than I thought they were.
Yeah.
Because Harlem Heat's both like 6'4", 6'5".
They were right there with them.
And like super yoked. And the Nasty Boys like the same size.
Yeah.
I did say Brian Hobbs is Axel Rotten minus 98% of the personal demons. But man, they like beat the shit out of each other when they were Harlem Heat were walking up the ramp. Booker's like cutting up kind of a promo towards the camera.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first and also one of the very few even after to like really lean into the like I'm a brother from the hood.
Yeah.
Like the hood, talking about the hood. I feel like he was always struggling with himself to not say the N-word that he wanted to say
Right.
in most of his promos. Well, famously actually saying it one time.
Slipped out once.
In a very, very funny way.
Yeah.
Especially considering who it was too. But
Hulk
like,
Hogan, we coming for you.
the only ones I can think of is like Booker, and at this time doing like I'm from the hood. That's what my thing is.
Yeah.
The other one's like New Jack, but he doesn't even count. He's just like a sociopath.
Yes.
I don't consider him like a hood guy. I consider him like Michael Myers or something. But he talked about being black, so like that is the closest thing. But look, Booker is way out of his time.
Right.
They both of these guys were like super jacked at this point.
Oh, they're giants.
And just
Absolutely
beating
giants.
the shit out of each other. Like, I did think the thought occurred to me: the Nasty Boys they're not nasty enough. They should have like Balls Mahoney outfits or like puke on their shirt and like blood stains.
No, they had graffiti on their shirt.
They have like they have kindergarten smocks from Art Day.
That's plenty
That's
nasty.
what it is. It's like
kindergartners are fucking nasty. So
yeah,
like, there could be
it's
that.
just the smocks though.
Yeah.
It's like a black smock that a kindergartner was doing like neon finger paint,
And they had yoga
and they
pants
got it
on.
all over, and then and like they're doing my armpit, put his
pit-
face in my armpit,
pit
and I was
stop.
like, you don't think you have? I didn't.
That got a big pop.
That
was a big part of the match. They were going to rub their
They
armpits
don't
on.
look like they would have. They look like they would smell like Old Spice or something.
Yeah.
They're like either haircuts or they're like biker-ish or whatever, kind of in a Magic the Gathering fan way more than bikery, but like they're like clean cut like that too. They look like they're well groomed, well put together. Their clothes are clean.
Yeah.
They should have been nastier. Like I believe that the Bushwhackers think.
Yeah.
I should have believed that the Nasty Boys think. I think the Nasty is more in reference to the beating the shit out of their opponents.
Yes.
Did they do this otherwise? Because I don't remember them ever doing.
I remember
doing this
them
kind of
having. There was one, and I don't remember what it was, but like I watched one WWF paper. It was either like WrestleMania 7 or like SummerSlam around there. It was the Nasty Boys and the Legion of Doom, whatever the hell that pay-per-view was. And I loved the shit out of it.
I mean, Legion of Doom they essentially worked like Harlem Heat did in this match. All
like
the time, so.
Nasty Boys, I think I don't think they get any rep. Like, but I think they're
People think of them as Hogan lackeys. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
But no, these guys are.
They
I
went.
was into this match.
Yeah.
Like
their
were
finisher was cool as fuck.
shit.
They didn't do it in this, but like they did. It was a top rope like assisted senton. Like one of them would stand like on the ground, the other one, and then he would just like help him flip over. I'm like, that's a great finisher for a couple fat guys.
Yeah, they're athletic for fat guys too.
Yes.
I did not buy the plantation owner oil tycoon guy as
Colonel Parker,
as Harlem Heat's manager.
Colonel Robert Parker.
I did like Sherry as their other manager though.
Sister Sherry.
Sherry rules.
Sister Sherry.
She's with the shit that she's yelling outside the ring. She's the best.
Yeah.
She's the best. One of the announcers said, Heenan talking about how gorgeous she is and she should be on the cover of every fashion magazine. And Dusty Rhodes just goes, maybe auto mechanics, which popped Giovanni.
Sherry was a part of the finish too. Like she was right.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
I got Harlem Heat looking like a couple bad motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a full-on Booker T guy now. Like,
well, he was able to breathe really well. They had
the breathe rights.
The breathe rights.
That
on
was
there
very
knows.
96.
Yeah, it's very practical.
Well, I mean, evidently, if you wear a breathe right, you can beat the holy shit out of your opponents because that's what they did.
Yeah,
his clotheslines were like Stan Hansen lariats.
Yeah,
Stevie Ray too. I want to mention this now because I made a note of it and I did not want to forget. Did you ever see the Stevie Ray podcast beverage thing that happened?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Stevie Ray started a podcast, and it was him and just some like dorky wrestling fan guy who was trying to like break into media or whatever. But he was not in the business or anything. But he was like the driver of the podcast because he was a media guy. He probably had just graduated from communications degree or whatever.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray for the first like 3 episodes would just get like visibly more and more irritated with this guy. And then by like the 4th episode, you guys like drinking apple juice or something. And Stevie Ray in the middle of the episode, like, and they aired it too. I don't know why. As a podcast, they could have cut it. But Stevie Ray's like, stop drinking that damn apple juice. It's like, new rule: you can't drink nothing while we're doing the show. And he's like, I talk a lot. I need to have it's normal to have a beverage. He's like, a beverage maybe, but like you always drinking juice and cranberry bullshit. No more of that bullshit. I don't want nothing. You get nothing.
Yeah.
You have a dry mouth. You got a dry mouth. That's
Yeah.
it. And they had like 2 more episodes, and then the show went away. But it's a wonderful, like, explosive.
I would like to
Nonsense.
when we hit stop. I'd like to watch it. And that guy went on to die of a urinary tract infection.
Probably.
Not enough cranberry juice in that system. Cher, you got any more before the finish?
I seem to have a lot of notes for this, so I'm like, I did enjoy this match quite a bit. Steve Ray Beverage podcast. Oh, Randy Anderson, the ref, was working harder than I've ever seen a ref work in a match. In this match, just trying to keep these guys like apart inside. And he's like 5'6", 120 pounds, and he's just diving all over these 4 absolute mountains of men. I thought that was worth mentioning. Harlem Heat make the APA look like Mizdow. They're like way stiffer than APA ever were. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know.
We didn't
wish
know.
I would have known.
Again, Psycho Sid was on top of the world.
Yeah.
No, that's actually what happened, because Psycho Sid won the world title from Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 2 months after this. So like he was like, we were all tired of Shawn Michaels at this point, and Psycho Sid was coming up. We didn't have time for Harlem Heat.
What really happened was I never watched any wrestling outside of WWF.
Also,
until I like accidentally came across some ECW,
Yeah.
which then opened my eyes a little bit. And then 30 years of Vince made me search out more wrestling. And my tastes changed. But like I was unaware of any of this stuff happening at this time.
Like we said, we both never watched this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Prior to
before we started the show, I don't think that I knew that there was a pay-per-view called Fall Brawl.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I would have.
I knew WCW had War Games, and Fall Brawl was apparently the annual time that they did
I knew
War Games.
And then I know there are other, like the Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
What was their biggest?
Starrcade.
Starrcade was their WrestleMania. Like I was aware of those, but I just never paid any attention at all.
Bash at the Beach, Great American Bash, a lot of bashes.
2 like big monsters that were scarier than the APA were like on the show beating the shit out of everyone.
Right.
I would have probably tuned in.
Right. I think this is when the Headbangers were thriving.
Yeah. Like softest offense. Remember the Headbangers feuded with Marilyn Manson Goldust? It seemed silly because it seems like they should have been on the same side.
Should have been boys.
Yeah.
They should have been backstage listening to the beautiful
performative
people.
metal guys.
Yeah.
Like, Goldust rules.
Goldust so rules.
Got a Macho Man backstage promo. I love Macho. Oh, did we have? And I missed something?
We skipped the finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Nasty Boys hit their finish.
Oh, yeah.
Sister Sherry sneaks in the ring and hits Brian Knobbs in the back of the head with Colonel Parker's cane.
Which, by the way, she lays in like
she
a motherfucker,
shatters
too.
the shit out of it.
God.
And then Booker T rolls over and covers whichever. I couldn't remember which Nasty Boy it was.
Yeah.
That's the end of the match. They do a commercial for a single T-shirt.
Yeah, that was the Ric Flair.
Ric Flair's pitching a single
He's
T-shirt.
Incredible. Just like this era of him when he does the promo later too is just like you can't take your eyes off.
And he's
him.
also like right in the breadbasket of what he's in North Carolina.
Yeah,
right.
It's
so
Flair country, baby.
The T-shirt is sells for $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling.
Seems very expensive for $96.
Like a shirt now is what, like $30 bucks.
Pro Wrestling Tees $29.99.
And it was $19.95 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Wasn't even that nice of a shirt.
Expensive.
Yeah.
No, Pro Wrestling Tees has better shirts than like that era.
And these were probably like crappy, like I actually don't know how petty T-shirt companies are, so I don't want to say what brand of shirt it was, but I can't imagine this is good quality. Next was the backstage segment with Mike Tenay and the Macho Man. Mike Tenay calls Macho Man the most suspended and fired wrestler in all of WCW. And
I love Macho's shirt that he's wearing in this. It's like a shirt jacket kind of thing. It's got the big sparkly. I would wear it out in public. It's got like Monday Nitro and like glitter on the front. It's got the Macho tassels, and then the back is just his like giant, like classic Macho logo looking thing. This looked like Macho Man, not like swole WCW Macho Man that I always thought of as WCW. This just looked like Macho Man from the prime of his WWF career.
Yes. He looked fantastic.
Absolutely. And he also continues his absolute burning, real shoot hatred of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
He and Ultimate Warrior both only referred to him as Hulk Hogan their whole career, but like, boy, does he hate the Hulkster.
Yeah.
Great promo. It's Macho Man. So,
Yeah.
like,
And speaking of Hulk Hogan, he's teeing up that at the next WCW pay-per-view, which is Halloween Havoc, it will be the Macho Man versus Hollywood Hogan for the world title.
yeah.
So,
And this promo was a lead into a match that I didn't have much expectation for because I always thought of the Giant as the Big Show, and the Giant is not the Big Show.
No.
This was Macho Man versus the Giant. Pomp and Circumstance is just the best.
it was like
this is just the best.
was that the guitar version like he had the last time?
No, this was like it was just
Like
Pomp and-
actual
yeah, it was just Pomp and Circumstance.
orchestral?
Yeah, it was just because this was just straight up Macho Man.
Yeah.
Who worked his ass off in this match, by the way, too.
Well,
flying all over the place.
He was handing out Slim Jims before the fucking match,
Yeah.
so which is kinda
But
funny.
like he was moving at the same rate of speed as he did in his heyday. What the fuck is wrong with Vince? Like, we can put you on commentary. Put that guy on commentary.
happened.
Well, I think that the thing that happened got him out of the company.
Yeah.
I don't think that Vince kept him on after having put him on commentary. I think it happened while he was on commentary.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I don't think Vince kept him in the company after the thing happened.
Yeah, why would you keep him after? and
Like
then-
all,
why would you demote him? After
What
that?
everybody says is like he turned 40 and Vince was like, "It's past you." Like clearly not past him because he had the best match I've ever seen with Big Show /
Yeah.
Giant in this match.
Yeah.
And the Big Show also like laying in shots. He never, ever, ever did that in his
Yeah.
career in WWE. He's like throwing big haymaker clotheslines and like, he didn't do his big slap chop thing. That was his one thing he laid in WWE because he was just like knocking the hell out of Macho and like everything else he did. If he would have like kept this body, just stayed on keto or something, and worked this style, he would have gone down in history as one of the greatest of all time.
An all-timer, yeah.
He was unbelievable at this point.
I started writing this is a squash match because the Giant was just
Manhandling
completely fucking him up for a minute. Like Savage wouldn't let him in the ring at first. Like they really told a story like this guy's a problem.
Well, because you wouldn't wanna if he's this guy, if he's like that brutal and he's 7 feet tall and 500 pounds.
It all tracks, right? And we can all empathize with that. And like he just joined the NWO. Did you catch the entrance music, by the way? They started playing the Dungeon of Doom music, and then they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, ow,
I got
wow.
a hot take on that one.
All
I
right.
think the NWO music is the worst music in the history of wrestling.
Oh, we are going to have a hard disagreement.
I hate the NWO music. That's the only good part. The new. The Wolfpack is a better theme. I also didn't like Hogan coming out to Hendrix either. I love that song.
You just hate fun.
No, I like good television.
Yeah.
And that song is irritating
Yeah.
as fuck. And for a number of years, it was the music for half the wrestlers on the show.
Well, because everybody was
you
in
have
the
to hear
NWO.
it a zillion times a show. It's not even really a song. Like it's just some sounds.
New.
But yeah, I like that the Dungeon of Doom into
They just like abruptly changed it.
yeah.
Like they forgot that he was a
They
recent.
used to do that shit all the time. I'm like,
yeah, production. Like for as much praise they were giving the production, like still they were.
they
were finding their
what they
footing.
have in like pyro in like a sports presentation.
Yeah.
Not great with like entrances, like with
well,
music and
We will get to that in the War Games
Yeah.
match. Holy Lord.
I said Big Show throwing stiffer shots. Oh, Heenan here, who's like historically hates Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Is like begrudgingly, oh, he's one of ours.
He's
so
a
I'm
WCW
pulling
guy.
for him.
Yeah.
Like, and he was pulling for him, like telling him, giving him instruction, like what he should do during the match.
Yeah.
And like you said, Giant was like just beating the shit out of him.
Press slams Savage into the ring from the outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's never going to not be impressive to me.
No.
Because
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Boy, Macho hates Hulk Hogan.
He fucking slams.
Yeah.
It's like a legit.
Full scoop slam,
Oh,
no
like,
assistance from
none.
Big Show. And he's, again, this is not swole Macho Man. This is like cruiserweight Macho Man.
Yeah.
Just scoop slams the Giant.
Yeah.
Place goes fucking apeshit.
Yeah.
Way more impressive than Hulk slamming Andre.
100%.
It was unbelievable. It was also like a textbook scoop slam. Like
Yes.
a perfect front scoop slam.
Yes.
He also, then Macho did like a top rope. He was trying to do like a bulldog, and Big Show, I don't know, it was a miscommunication because he Madison Rained himself. Just jammed his head into the mat. I was like, oh no, Big Show, don't do that. But he was fine, thankfully.
Yeah.
And Macho hits that just best elbow that anybody's ever done.
Yes.
And I mean, Kyrie Sane's is great. It's a different move, kind of. But
Shawn Michaels had a pretty good one.
Shawn Michaels is great. It's not Macho.
Nothing's ever going to be Macho.
Macho's is just like perfect every
Oh,
time.
CM Punk has the greatest elbow in the history of pro wrestling.
That sloppy ass thing that
He's admitted.
I love it because it's so sloppy.
Yeah.
Because it fits his like aesthetic.
Yeah.
But it's trash. Like,
Well, he's outwardly said, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he said verbatim, but like he gave the sentiment. He's like, I know what it is.
He also
guys.
said, as for his first day in AEW, that nobody should ever do a tope, a dive again, because Darby Allin exists, and once you see his, nobody should ever do it. And then 3 weeks later, he started doing topes.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do in that company. Everything everybody else does. We're not talking about that right now. That will be for
CM Punk on the mind.
Well,
Beautiful elbow.
Yes.
And this was what I was talking about, where they stick to the rules, because after Macho hits the elbow, Hogan and the Outsiders start to come down.
Yep.
Before they can.
So Hogan comes down.
Yeah.
And lures Macho. But yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Lures Macho out of the ring.
Yeah.
So Macho fights them, but
Yeah.
out of the ring. Like, it wasn't an interference. So then he kind of gets beat down on the outside and thrown back in. Giant Big Show gets the pin, and that's correct. And they, as they pointed out in commentary, no, Macho attacked Hogan, outside the ring. So it wouldn't be interference. It wouldn't be. It was great. It was great. It was a great way to do a cheater finish after an awesome match.
I also thought it was kind of brave of them to show your main event, like half of your main event prior to the main event.
Yep.
They don't usually do that.
Yeah.
They didn't save them to make it special or nothing like that. Yeah, no, exactly. It was right before.
But my expectation for this match was just nothing.
Yeah.
And I got like.
Well, that's the Giants so far, right?
Macho, and then and the Giants.
The Giants fucking
amazing,
showing up,
like amazing.
And
everything we've watched with him is like, oh goddamn.
And again, that this is where we're saying like the benefit of 30 years of hindsight. Usually, it's like, oh, Rey Mysterio matches are always like everybody's up for them.
Yeah.
But it also goes the other way. It's like, oh, we're so used to the Giant just barely moving, or Big Show or whatever. The Big Show. Did you ever notice it's TBS? That was the joke, right?
Yeah.
Good job, Vince. And but Giants, this is the era where he's throwing like legit ass drop kicks and actually is a wonderful worker.
Standing drop kicks.
Yeah.
And like throwing clotheslines that are like knocking the wind out of me while I'm watching him on TV.
Right.
Like he didn't do any of that stuff.
This also makes him because he's kind of like goofy too.
Yeah.
So if he is dominating a match and he loses, you're just like, I get it.
Yeah.
He's
like a Great Dane or something. He's like so giant he doesn't understand his own size, and he could kill you by accident.
Right.
And which is he kind of does here.
Yeah.
But because he's so goofy, he's would have been a great character. Like why did the Performance Center is the worst goddamn thing that's ever happened to pro wrestling. You need to learn how to slow it way down and find the hard cam.
Yeah.
And not have awesome matches like we just watched here.
Yeah. Well, clearly the power plant was a superior training facility.
Yeah. The power plant was just like, here are some steroids, B64, and a white guy.
and we're going to make you Andre the Giant's son.
I will say the power plant had a good, when that British douchebag went and to try to expose the business. It was right before Beyond the Mat came out.
Oh, that's
Buddy Lee Parker.
Did he get glasses?
Yeah, he's got
Thoreau.
Yeah. He's like a aristocratic
Louis
Thoreau. I just watched a thing about that. Some British guys talking about looking back on that, it was just Louis Theroux because he went to an indie promotion too, and he's pulling all these faces. He's so disgusted because there was blood and stuff because it's an indie match and there's a bunch of kids, and it was basically these are very poor people, and their lives are different than mine, so this is weird.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to WCW, he's trying to grab Roddy Piper and Macho Man.
I remember Goldberg being on that.
And Goldberg was the nicest one to him.
Yeah.
Because most of them were like, buddy, we got a show in 10 minutes.
We're at
you
work.
see me wheeling my shit in.
Yeah.
I can't just talk to you about your stupid. And then the best one was in an airport. Thoreau goes and sits down next to Raven, who had just signed $1 million contract with WCW.
Yeah.
And Raven is a smart guy, so he was like, "Oh, who you work for?" He's like, BBC Two. We're doing a documentary." And Raven's like, "You know who I am?" And he's like, "Oh no, actually I don't." He's like, "So you're doing a documentary about pro wrestling? You don't know who I am? You have no idea who I am?" It's like, no, I'm not. He's like, did you do any research before you started this documentary? And absolutely nothing. Face went white.
Right.
But my favorite thing about it was the power plant. Buddy Lee Parker just makes him puke because he tried to try out like an idiot. Like he thought he was going to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Not realizing that these guys like kill themselves during training. And they just broke him emotionally.
Just do burpees for 5 minutes. Like,
broke him emotionally. Like literally sitting on a bucket with his head against the wall.
Yeah.
Buddy Lee Parker makes him flop around on the floor and say, "I am a dying cockroach."
Who was Buddy Lee Parker? Was he like the main?
Sarge. He was the guy that ran
the main trainer?
Yeah, that like
Gotcha.
5'2" guy.
I remember him now,
that
yeah.
Never had, mean little shit.
I do remember.
It was great. The next match is
they go really quick. They go.
Yeah. We should talk about that.
I don't want you to blow your big announcement there.
Yeah.
Backstage, Mike Tenay is with Ric Flair,
Woo!
Arn Anderson, and Lex Luger. Mike Tenay is saying, "Who is replacing Sting?" Flair doesn't answer and clearly just had 6 full tablespoons of white granulated sugar because he is
on one.
Man, and he knows he's in North Carolina. Yeah. Like, man, Arn Anderson says they're going to
Anderson, by the way, is exactly 39 years old, as always.
He's either 10, 39, or 70, but he's definitely 39. But he says they're going to do it without Sting or Sting. And this is where the production's not so hot in this company.
Yeah.
Sting comes in at this point, who is not there at that point.
It's not fake Sting. It's real Sting.
With his back to the... Like, you see over, like, his
Well, I mean, I think
shoulder.
that was a choice. I think they were trying to make us be like, oh, is that fake Sting? Is that real Sting?
Yeah.
We don't really know.
I guess.
But then he talks, and it's like, oh, that's Sting.
Yeah. Also,
I do think it was intentional, the back to the camera thing.
I'm really glad they're... I'll tell that part when the match happens, but I'll circle back to this. So Sting comes in. Sting says it was not him who attacked Lex Luger on Monday night. And Lex says it was him.
Yeah, stupid Lex.
Sting's
a good guy.
And Sting's like, I'm going to join the team. And they're all just like, okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So
he's your best performer, too. He's your best wrestler.
But,
by the way, Lex Luger, I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he looked in this segment and in the match like he was on hour 90 of Meth Bender.
Yeah.
His hair and his face were like, oh, man, you are in a bad place, Lex.
Well, he drank from the wrong cup of Christ, and he was about to disintegrate. I just couldn't get over that. Okay, this guy attacked you the prior, maybe not the prior Nitro, but like recently, and you're a big part of this match, and like WCW canonically. Like, this is a huge fucking deal. Like, the guys that have been fighting the Horsemen are now teaming with the Horsemen to fight.
Yeah, Bobby Heenan is in tears practically at this point. Like,
this is like the first, like, how WWE's doing, like, this big Avengers bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually, like, the same kind of, like, story.
Oh, by the way, you just reminded me. This is a better invasion angle than Vince ever did.
Oh, the NWO? I would say so.
Yeah, this was like, but it was this. I didn't watch it at this time when it was actually ramping up.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is an invasion.
Yes.
And like when you get the announce crew, you got Bobby Heenan like, oh, for God's sake, please, you need it. Like,
they're not.
You really feel it.
Yeah,
like,
they're not pitching Stridex pads between matches.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get over that. Like, hey, the Sting, like the fucking face of WCW, just attacked Team WCW, and then he's like, I'm here now, and they're just like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, I'm gonna be on the team, and they're like, all right, we'll see you down there. Like, it was terrible acting. They probably should have scripted this slightly better.
Could be wrong about this, but I think the way that it played out afterwards was that like Luger knew that the guy that attacked him was not Sting.
No.
Because he was going to turn shortly after this.
Okay.
And I think he was like gaslighting the rest of them to believe that the fake Sting was the real Sting.
That's the only thing that can make sense.
I think. I could have my timelines wrong, but I think.
We're going to go
Plus,
with...
like, Luger is like...
He hasn't slept in
doing
days.
Like a shoebox full of methamphetamine. Right? So, like, who knows what he was supposed to be doing.
And now...
The main event of the evening. And boy, the crowd felt like it was the main event of the evening,
Oh, my
too.
God.
They were nuclear for the entirety.
This was...
I mean, great match, but, like... the finish was silly, but
the whole
the
War
match
Games itself is a little fucking silly.
It is, but like for a War Games, these guys worked their asses off.
I enjoy. Yeah, it was because it looked like. All right, here's the deal. Like with modern wrestling, it's a lot of flippy shit. It's a lot of like moves. this is the era of just like men looking like men beating the fuck out of other men.
Yeah.
I can't describe it any other way. Like these
They're all
guys.
big dudes too. I always forget how big Arn Anderson is until he got in there with Scott Hall, and I'm like, oh, Arn's like 6'4".
Well,
like,
Kevin, once you see how big Kevin Nash is, and then how tall everybody is relative to Kevin Nash, you're like, oh right, everybody is.
They're all pretty big.
Big.
Like Flair's 6'3" or 6'2"
Is he
or
really?
something. Yeah.
Oh Jesus. So it's Team WCW, which is, as we mentioned, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Lex Luger, and a mystery partner against.
And they specify like, they may not on commentary. If Sting doesn't come out, they just may not have a partner.
Yeah.
Like, why Chris Benoit? Why don't you grab Chris Benoit?
He's in the fucking Horseman.
Yeah.
Let it be the whole Horseman against Team NWO, which is Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, and a fourth partner.
Yeah.
Michael Buffer reads the rules. So he said there will be 7 periods. The first is 5 minutes, and all the other periods are 2 minutes.
Call them periods. That confused the shit out of me.
I don't fucking know. Period 1 has 1 man from each team. I don't want to do this voice. With a minute left in period 1. With a minute left in period 1, the ref's going to flip a coin.
Yeah.
There's no screens or anything to like tee us into what's going on. Like
flip a coin.
It was, if you're in the crowd, it's just like, I guess. The winner of the coin toss, will then send their second man. So that's
like the rules that you would get if you were in a real life, like Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Like the movie Bloodsport, but in real life.
You know what they
could
could have done?
We'll flip a coin partway through to
Partway
decide.
through.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You know what they could have did? Flip the fucking coin when the match started so the whole crowd knew what was going on.
Because it wouldn't make any difference as far as advantage.
It would have been more enjoyable for the people of North Carolina. The second, once whoever wins the coin toss gets the second man to go in. From their team. After period 2, the other team sends their second man. So it's like 2-2 and then 3-2 and then 3-3 until all 8 men are in the ring. There are no pinfalls, countouts, or disqualifications. The only way to win is via surrender or submission.
Yeah.
Which is the same word.
I think the surrender thing is if you like run away.
Oh.
That's considered a surrender. Not like.
But that happened.
Didn't have tap outs, but like a verbal submission or
that
if you
happened.
Split. I know.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to it.
I thought that's what that meant back in the day, but maybe not.
Okay. The NWO has released 3 names and will remain unknown and the fourth man will remain unknown until his entrance. And he goes, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and the man who turned his back on WCW, the reigning heavyweight champion of the world, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I didn't know that Michael Buffer as an announcer could just fucking editorialize.
Well, he works for WCW. He's not NWO.
It goes back the other way then too. And representing the WCW, at this time there are only 3. It is not known if there is or even will be a 4th team.
You know what? I like that. The way he put it, I was like, that's very clear.
Yeah.
We do not know if they are going to have a 3rd or 4th member.
This is all literally after they just showed Sting backstage. So
saying like, hey, I still want to be on the team, guys. What's going on?
He said,
and like in the body of the match too, like he's by far the best wrestler.
Oh, by a country mile. But like he said, hey guys, I'll see you out there, and they're all like, okay, I'll see you out there.
Whatever.
So Scott.
I'm sure Luger forgot. Like Meth Luger forgot immediately what happened. So like,
I didn't know. Or I don't know. That's what I don't know.
Our first 2 competitors. The start of the match is a battle of who has the manliest chest hair in the history of pro wrestling.
That's not bad. Those are actual stakes there.
Arn, Armed Anderson, and Scott Hall.
Yeah. No entrance music the entire match for anything. By the way,
I didn't mind. Usually I would hate that, but I didn't mind it here because it was like
because you hate the NWO music.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime I don't have to hear that is a good thing. But it felt like the stakes were real. Like whoever won this was gonna like own the company and change wrestling forever. Mostly because Bobby Heenan was like absolutely convincing me of it.
Yeah.
And it felt more like a serious thing.
You know, now that you mention it, you wouldn't play like the fight song of the guys that are trying to like damage your company.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
like unless the PA guy is NWO for life.
Yeah. I'm sorry you don't love it. I love it.
I'm sorry that it exists.
Well, how else are you supposed to walk into a room at whatever the camera filter is that goes there and then it turns black and white? How are you supposed to walk into a room if it's not to
one of 500 million great rock songs that you could do?
I agree. All along the Watchtower.
Yeah, sure.
my one note about the cage is the top of the cage looks super janky.
It does.
Looks,
The
looks
whole
like,
cage looks like
it looks like they built certain parts of the cage in different facilities.
I might have built it. Like I like doing stuff on the side. I made my own barbecue grill. Like one of these days I may be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make a War Games cage, and that's kind of what this looked like.
Make a YouTube video. Join me as I make a War Games cage.
And I'm going to have to go to the emergency room because I've seemed to have cut my carotid artery on a piece of sharp wire that I didn't see.
Hopefully you won the coin toss, so
somebody
Stus can come in.
The doctor does a coin toss partway into the surgery and decide.
As you mentioned so many times, there was a super pro WCW commentating team.
Yeah.
Which added so much cool stuff to it.
Yeah, in a great way.
Coin toss was held in the back. They did mention that they had to keep the two teams separated because it was getting a little physical, which I liked. Just more breadcrumbs.
I always love that. Still in wrestling now, I like if they do the like in-ring interview between two guys that are feuding. If they do the both parties have agreed to no violence. If one does, then they're suspended kind of thing. Have reasons. Yeah. So like and you don't gotta dig that.
in that case, like you don't need to see it. When you see it, it's gonna feel like an angle. It might result in some bad acting. Yeah. But like just like that little like they're paying attention
instead of having the invisible wall that like CM Punk so desperately tried to tear down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's stupid and Punk recognized it.
Yeah, he's right. NWO wins the coin toss, which we are told it's announced via headset communication.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Nash comes out third. Luger comes out fourth. He comes out 15 seconds early. That was a kind of a problem
because of no music and stuff too. Like they're like 5, 4. Oh, look who it is!
But they don't take the clock off, and they didn't do it until the end. They pre-recorded some kind of like person saying like a countdown, and because they didn't stop the countdown until I forget what it's coming down in a couple, but like the production team was not. It was the same production team that was paying attention to who was in the Texas Bull Rope match that we talked about last week, who was in charge of lighting the fucking corners up. It was the same guy that worked for WCW.
This was where they started their career, evidently.
Just a shit. Luger came out, cleaned house. I wrote, he looks like, he has black boots on. I said he looks like a He-Man action figure before you add the decals.
Absolutely. I think he has black boots on because he probably forgot his gear because he's on a 9-day bender.
He looked terrible.
He looked awful.
Well, when you're awake for that long, black looks like white, then white looks like black.
Yeah. Like Vampiro's looking for his boots.
Yeah.
God damn it.
This is kind of cool.
Dark match.
Hogan comes out next, and he gets fucked up a little.
Yes, he does. More than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, it was like noticeable that he was getting some heat.
It did make me think like, man, it's a crime and it's Hogan's fault. We never got like a top of their game Hogan Flair. Like that should have happened.
Egos, man. It's why we didn't get Hogan Austin.
Because I want Flair to go over Hogan too, which Hogan would never do.
And like if you just do the business, like you see what The Rock's doing right now, like just do the goddamn thing and everyone will be happy.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. But again, the benefit of 30 years and whatever. Paydays work differently back then.
Which is why I'm thankful for like Ospreay Danielson now. Like immediately.
Yes. And not until then should that little shit be on television.
I actually agree with you there. Despite my I also love watching Bryan Danielson wrestle every day but generally in wrestling, and if it weren't for like Danielson's weird little caveat for this 1 year where he wants to wrestle everybody, I would say absolutely don't have him off TV completely while Ospreay's cutting these promos. Like I'm with you.
But that's like if Paul McCartney played in town for 10 straight days.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
The only thing,
I'd go to all 10 days, but I get real bored by day 3.
Danielson wrestles different styles depending on who he's wrestling.
Paul McCartney's changing his set list. He's playing Abbey Road one night. He's playing Revolver the next night.
Oh God, really? Then I'm going to all 10 shows.
I just talked myself.
You just convinced me. Paul McCartney's going to do the entire Beatles catalog, one night at a time. Yeah, I'm going every night.
Got multiple mortgage payments to go see that.
But I could watch Danielson wrestle Jack Sabre Jr. And then wrestle Will Ospreay in the next night, and I don't feel like it's less. Right. But that's just because it's him and he can wrestle any style. But generally, as a storytelling idea, I agree. You got to keep him special.
You got to keep him special, man. And he is special, and I wish they would just fucking keep him special. Speaking of special, Hogan's in the ring now. He's number 5. Ric Flair comes out 6 seconds early. He cannot fucking help it because the crowd is just like, it's like Muhammad Ali's there, right?
Ali Boumaier, like that shit.
Flair stays in one ring. The entire WCW team, Luger, and Arn Anderson so far are out.
Yeah.
The NWO has fucking decimated them. Ric Flair gets in and he stands in one ring, and he's challenging the NWO to come over, and the place is going ballistic.
Flair looks like such a badass here.
The fucking walls are shaking. And then he takes on the entire
takes on the
NWO,
NWO.
and he does a good job.
Yeah, he like holds his own for sure. Like,
It was such a cool babyface like comeback. And then like he puts a long figure 4 on Hulk Hogan, and the match doesn't officially start until everybody's in the ring.
My headcanon where Hogan taps, so I have can put that picture of Ric Flair tapped Hulk Hogan with a figure 4 laylock.
Yeah, that works. yeah. Oh, no, it doesn't work for me, brother. It wasn't part of the match. Number 7, Sting comes out 20 seconds early.
Kind of Sting.
Oh no, it's Sting. Oh no, I'm sorry.
No,
You're
first
right.
was
You're
kind
right.
of Sting.
You're right.
Who looked exactly like Sting right up until he threw his first punch. And
Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
Oh, that's not Sting because his working punch is not nearly as good as Sting's.
No, but he's doing all the moves. He's doing all the moves. He's doing stinger splashes.
Yeah.
And like again, we know now, but in '96, I can't imagine I would fucking know because his body type was right, and like I didn't know about work
depending
rate.
on how close I was watching Sting, because when we do see a stinger splash for real, it's about 7 feet higher than the one that fake Sting.
And that's after the fact. Like,
sure.
I think this
they didn't give away the ghost with that.
This was a genius fucking move.
It was
for
and
1996.
They really got a guy that looked like just like him.
Motley Cruz. Turn the tables on me. It was not Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. I'm coming at you full force.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Oh man, we'll do a theatrical read for the 18th time. It was not Jumpin' Jeff Farmer, just regular ass.
You
Jeff
can
Farmer.
do it, but I'm gonna demand that you do the Booker T promo on Hogan.
Yeah,
word for word.
We're gonna get canceled before our 20th episode, huh?
I'll be hosting with my 9-year-old daughter.
It's like, where were you? It's like, I wasn't alive, Dad. You didn't make me yet. Real Sting comes out at number 80, 3 seconds early, and the place is like, what?
Yeah, and then Sting, believably, beats the shit out of everybody in the ring by himself.
You like the little touches? Fake Sting was wearing black boots. Real Sting was wearing white boots.
Yeah, love that.
Good
Love
and
that.
evil.
Love it.
Good and evil.
But Sting, he does a stinger splash where he jumps nearly out of the top of the cage.
He looked amazing.
Unbelievable.
In this. And he was not in there that long because
he did what I would do too. After like being a good guy for 15 years, and Meth Luger doesn't believe me. Like, see, I showed you what I can do. Go fuck yourselves. I'm out of here. He split after he beat the hell out of all the NWO.
He left the cage. So going back to your original point.
Yeah, that's surrender. And
they're being a little loosey-goosey with the rules here, but like, why say surrender? Just say submit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe like surrender is like an OG rule.
I just thought historically, surrender and submit were OG, like Starrcade.
Then that's
fine. War Games rules, where like if you leave, it's like in AEW, Pac left, and that was the loss of the match one time because that was considered a surrender.
I'd be curious.
Maybe the officials couldn't tell which thing it was.
I got to watch an old war. Yeah, that's true. We don't know who to disqualify here. We can't tell. What color boots was he wearing? I wasn't looking. But anyway, once Sting leaves, the NWO just fucking decimates WCW.
Now it's 4-on-3, and it's and their best wrestlers gone. So,
do you have anything else before the finish?
No, I got something right after the finish that I want to talk about.
We'll just wrap up the finish real
coolest
quick.
thing ever.
Lex Luger is in the Scorpion Deathlock with Fake Sting, and while he's in there, Hulk Hogan is just like a front face lock, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Nick Patrick and
Hogan was better in this match than I remember seeing him at all.
He was giving.
Yeah,
he worked well.
Yeah,
like it just like you could tell him he might have been motivated again.
Sure,
you know. This era of Hulk Hogan was fucking magical.
Yes, it was.
Like just the biggest, best heel turn in the history of goddamn wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I can't imagine he wasn't on cloud 9. Nick Patrick and who was the other ref? The little dude you said was bumping like
Randy
crazy?
Anderson.
Randy Anderson said Lex Luger quits.
I don't know why Dusty Rhodes was saying that, but Nick Patrick and Randy
Lex Luger quit because he needed to get backstage to his methamphetamine.
Hurry up,
because he was starting to feel it. I think.
So Nick Patrick and Randy Anderson. Randy Anderson calls the end of the match. They say Lex Luger has given up, and then Michael Buffer goes, "The winners of the War Games, representing the NWO, the New World Order, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and their fourth team member. Like, he did not update his notes.
Great.
And their fourth team member. I loved it. All right, what happened after the match?
What happened after the match was, I assumed it was an injury, then I researched it and realized not only was it not an injury, it was one of the coolest things that anybody's ever done in pro wrestling. So Sting leaves this match. We don't see him again for almost a year and a half. He's off television from, this was Fall Brawl. It was in, what month did I say?
September.
September of 96. Sting does not return until December of 97. The reason was, one, it was an extended vacation. They just wanted to give Sting a vacation because he was the heart and soul of that company for so long and he'd never taken time off. So they're like, we're going to be able to work this into a storyline. Go rest for over a year. And the other part was because he had to grow his hair out.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because when he returned, it was under the white crow face paint.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what the hell he was going to do when he was coming down from the rafters. Nobody had seen him for a year and a half at that point. People thought he quit. People thought he was done wrestling.
Oh, he wasn't in the rafters yet?
No, like he was like essentially so this was like his transitional kind of like 90s wavy hair, like brunette but not black hair.
Yeah.
But with like dark paint but with color in it era. This was like the end of essentially the end of Surfer Sting. Mm-hmm. Left, nobody knew. Like dirt sheets didn't have anything on it. I assumed in looking back that he was hurt or something. He was not. They just wanted to give him a paid vacation, which is unbelievable, awesome. I love it. And like, grow your hair. We're dying of black. We're going to give you the best gimmick you've ever had.
Right.
And then when he came back, he didn't talk for like 6 months or something because he was just, is that Sting? Holy shit, that's Sting. And then he's like taking a zip line down into the ring and taking out NWO members and like, unbelievable that they would have the patience in pro wrestling to like wait that out, to wait out a year and a few months with your top guy to have an awesome return gimmick. Yeah. I respect that so much.
Yeah. Also having confidence that your product's going to stay that hot for that long.
Yes.
I mean, if you're booking stuff that far down the line with your arguably biggest babyface, good on you.
And like Stinger's your best in-ring guy now that I'm seeing. Like overall, he does it all.
Yeah.
As the somewhat slow dude I used to work with at Ice Mountain Springwater in 2005 once said about Batista, he got it all.
Yeah. Like he couldn't run fast is what you mean, right? You beat him in a foot race? We'll go. Yes. I think you beat him in foot races. You run. I
think I played a little bit too much football.
Yeah.
Over the years.
He's real tired from running.
Yeah.
Real tired from running. And I worked for this. Where'd you work? Ice Mountain?
Ice Mountain. Yeah. Truck driving.
Yeah.
Batista got it all.
And
I was like, yeah, Tom, Batista got it all.
He does got it all.
And Sting also got it all.
Baby got to have his Dillmans.
And he's about to come back after a year and change with the most incredible, I think the Crow Sting, like solo guy going after NWO, it was a better booking decision than NWO itself.
Well, it allowed so much to simmer.
Yeah.
Ongoingly. Like you had, like we have this storyline, we have a short storyline, then we have like medium length storyline, then we have this fucking like you just put it, this extremely long storyline.
Yeah.
So you can accomplish a lot, not have to pay off on any. Like, because you don't know.
Talk about long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
And non-injury, too. Like, you're one of your biggest guys.
We're going to...
Just the balls.
I can't wait till we talk about the match he had with Hogan when he does come back. But, like, yeah. Leading up to it was better than when he eventually did get back in the ring.
I mean, he did a bunch of great stuff after that, too. But that... The Hogan stuff... But that's Hogan.
Yeah.
He's just poison.
Great
right
hair,
now,
though.
Great hair. Great hair.
Right
absolutely.
Now.
Yeah. I don't want to... In this pay-per-view... 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It's absolutely incredible.
I got to go back and watch that Mysterio Super Calo match.
Complete opposite of what we watched last week.
And then another like after that we didn't touch on like what happened after the match. Like the NWO just keeps fucking everybody up. The cage goes up.
it felt like a car crash at the end.
Savage comes out because now they got to push for the Halloween Havoc title match,
Yeah.
and like Hogan, the Outsiders, the Giant, they get in the ring.
Sting, Savage at the peaks of their powers.
When would
Like
that be?
this Savage against like
Probably like
earlier in '96
WCW Saturday Night or
man.
for the United
Ooh,
States
I
title or
gotta find
something.
that. I gotta find that match.
Sleuth it.
Yeah.
Get on cage match.
I just realized that Darby Allin's never wrestled Kenny Omega, and I almost had a heart attack.
Oh,
Like they both might die before it can happen too.
well,
Like,
good thing he's not climbing a mountain,
Yeah.
so maybe we have a chance now.
but Kenny's getting the surgery. It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Giant double X handle Savage from behind when he's going after Hogan. It's the weakest fucking double X handle ever.
But it's also the only double X handle that I will accept.
Yeah, because he's
Macho
19
Man's.
feet tall. The Giant choke slams, and this is when the Giant was like holding a choke slam like in the fucking
like,
air.
Yeah, holding like a delayed choke slam.
Yeah, it looked so cool.
He was so awesome here. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I
his
see-
show sucked balls.
Yeah.
The Giant
Well.
ruled. Well.
Miss Elizabeth comes out and she's begging Hogan to stop. She lays on Macho Man and then they spray paint her back. That had to make
Yeah.
Macho Man fucking happy.
Yeah.
Hogan gets on the mic. He calls Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth losers. Says they'd be together till death do us part. And Hogan goes, courtesy of the NWO and Hollywood Hogan, we're going to make that happen. 2 pieces of trash. And then he spits on her. Like, come on, dude.
I'm sure it was like, getting back at you guys for Macho Man fucking snake biting my eye before WrestleMania 9.
Oh, yeah, that was not too long before that, too. NWO poses in the ring. The Giant spray paint up Savage's back, implying he's yellow. Hogan and Giant get in the camera, and after the Giant spray paints Macho Man, the Giant and the camera goes, I think I'm Michelangelo, maybe Da Vinci, probably the greatest artist in the history of the world. Imagine that. A giant painter. And as he says painter, Hogan goes, one more time, big man, whether you like it or not. It's the best thing going today. And then he spits into the camera.
Big Show is a Great Dane. He's a big goofy-ass Great Dane.
Who'd have thunk? A giant
Just
painter.
extreme of consciousness about great Italian artists.
Yeah.
In the middle of like NWO destroying
He's a
WCW.
savant.
Like
Yeah.
that.
They go back to commentary. It's Bobby Heenan, Tony Schiavone, and Dusty Rhodes. They're really selling the severity of everything. And then I forget which one of them said it, but they said if only Sting would have been trusted, it would have evened up the sides. Which
Would've.
continuing
Meth Luger, you douchebag.
Yeah. Hogan comes up to the commentary booth. He says, hey, Daydream Believer, you could take that all the way to the bank, brother. This is NWO country. Don't know what the fuck any of that meant.
No, it's nonsense.
And then the Giant Outsiders, DiBiase, come up, and DiBiase says they want their demands now, which they talked about earlier in the show. Nice little bow on the pay-per-view.
Boy, I wish Rick Rude never got hurt because he would have been awesome in this.
Yeah. Well, he was in fucking DX.
Yeah, but just as a bodyguard, like he could still go like a mother.
Well, the guy
before
we've
that
been
Sting match, man.
The guy we've been praising the whole show can.
Yeah,
It was a freak accident.
Rude agreed to that spot too. It was just not a good spot to do it in
Yeah.
with the way that the stage was.
Yeah.
It was just an accident.
Absolutely. Much like how Seth Rollins freak accident with Sting.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Overall, yay.
Oh, I got 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it was,
like up there with my favorite AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, this was
it's unbelievable.
what a hell of a way to
had a
kickstart
great
what's
time.
about to be the next like boom period of wrestling.
Yeah. I like this show better than most, not the very tippy top,
Yeah.
but most of the Attitude Era pay-per-views. I think this was better.
Yeah.
It was more entertaining.
It's before-
especially for my current 44-year-old tastes.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch that Super Cal match again. It was like it's like Shinsuke when Shinsuke was 25, basically fighting a luchador. It's awesome.
I'll have to pop it back on. I will gladly watch this whole thing again.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us as always. We'll be back again next week. We're going to start releasing these. This one you'll see when it drops. We're going to start releasing our Turnbuckle Time Machines Monday mornings. Our regular Blue Thunder pods are going to still go out Friday mornings, as always, both the AEW and WWE iterations. And then on Monday morning, you'll have something to look forward to. That's right. The Turnbuckle Time Machine. We will be continuing our Bobby Heenan Fest next week. We'll leave it a surprise which one we're doing, but I will say that it dovetails very nicely with the story that was told in this pay-per-view and the character that the Brain was playing. We'll get to see another side of that kind of character with the next show we're going to do. I'm very excited for it. tune in on Friday for our regularly scheduled, pre-WrestleMania WWE and AEW Blue Thunder Pods. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.